rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
You're very welcome along to our build-up ahead of the Lions' third warm-up game for their series with South Africa, the current world champions. It has been beset by plenty of COVID-19 issues, but tonight's game goes ahead in just under an hour's time when the Lions go up against the Sharks. We'll be talking to Tommy Bowe, one of the stars of the 2009 tour against the Box, in a few minutes' time. And Devin Toner will join Neil Treacy for full commentary from 7 p.m. Neil is with me now. Neil, how are you getting on?
Not too bad, Will, not too bad. We are officially going ahead in just under an hour, thank God. It's been a nervous few hours until we finally got confirmation there, probably at about, 20 past 5, that this game was in fact going ahead after a positive COVID case in the Lions camp involving a member of management and obviously some players who would have to self-isolate as a result. And I'm not sure, have you seen it? I've just seen it now in the last couple of minutes. There have been changes made to the Lions team in the last couple of minutes. I can give you them now if you don't have them.
Go for it, yeah.
They're all coming in the back line and on the subs bench. The forwards pack is as it was named a couple of days ago, but in the back line, a number of changes, 4 in fact. The half-backs are completely different now. Gareth Davies and Dan Biggar have both been ruled out of tonight's game. Ali Price is coming in at scrum half, and Owen Farrell is going to start at number 10. Both of those players who started at 9 and 10, or who started... Ali Price started at scrum half the last day. Owen Farrell was in the centre. He's at number 10 this evening. On the right wing, Louis Rees-Zammit is coming in place of Anthony Watson. Rees-Zammit scoring the opening try in the win against the Sigma Lions on Saturday. And then at fullback, Liam Williams is also gone. Josh Adams is going to come in to start his third game in a row on tour. 5 tries so far for him in the opening 2 matches, after 1 against Japan and 4 the other night against the Sigma Lions as well. So that is how the back line looks at the moment. Ali Price at scrum half, Owen Farrell at out half, Duhan van der Merwe stays on the left wing, Louis Rees-Zammit starts on the right wing now, Bundyaki and Elliot Daly remain in the centres with Josh Adams at full back. And then there are a number of changes as well to the bench. The replacement front rows stay as you were with Ken Owens, Rory Sutherland and Tyg Furlong, the trio who started the opening game against Japan. Maro Itoje comes into the bench. He's going to replace Tyg Byrne, who's had to be ruled out. Jack Conan stays there. Conor Murray is not going to be captaining the Lions at any stage today. The stand-in captain after Alan Wynne-Jones was ruled out of the tour was due to be on the bench this evening. He's now also been ruled out. So Finn Russell is going to come in the number 21 jersey. He's also the only back member, the only backline player who's going to be on the subs bench tonight. It's a 7-1 split for the Lions on the subs bench. I don't think that's by choice. It certainly seems like it's a necessity. Stuart Hogg is also then out to be replaced by Hamish Watson in the number 22 jersey. And wearing number 23 tonight is going to be Talupe Faletau, with Chris Harris also ruled out. So I'm going to start 1 to 15 to run through it again to remind people. It's Maka Vunipola, Luke Cowan-Dickey and Xander Fagerson starting. Ian Henderson captaining the side in the second row alongside Adam Beard making his Lions debut. Another two Lions debutants in the back row then. Josh Navidi at 6 and Tom Curry at 7, while Sam Simmons starts at 8. Ali Price and Owen Farrell in the half-backs, Louis Rees-Zammit and Duhan van der Merwe on the wings, Bundyaki and Elliot Daly are in the centres with Josh Adams at full-back, and then on the bench, as I said, only one back in the substitutes among the 8 players on the bench. That is Finn Russell, while Ken Owens, Rory Sutherland, Tyg Furlong, Maro Itoje, Jack Conan, Hamish Watson and Talupe Faletau make up the rest of the subs bench. So plenty of changes in the last few minutes to the Lions team that was named just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, unless we're going to see some back rowers playing in the backs in this game. The backs are going to have a long night, with the exception of one who might get to come out at some point in the second half. They did say we'd see Owen Farrell playing at 10 and 12 in the warm-up games, maybe a bit earlier than expected with those late enforced changes. We'll get Tommy Bowe's thoughts on that in a moment. But Neil, when it comes to the COVID-19, we know at this stage the Bulls game, which was going to be the one possible big test for the Lions in terms of the warm-up matches. They've only lost 2 since 1968 against the club teams. They were meant to get a test against the Bulls, but that's off due to COVID. We know South Africa and Georgia are off after the 11 new cases in the Springboks camp and 4 in the Georgian camp. Not ideal preparation ahead of the test in a couple of weeks' time.
No, it's certainly not. And it's funny. I think a lot of people might have said that the Lions tour had become a little bit too professional over recent years. Well, we've had last-minute kickoff changes aplenty over the last couple of days. We've had last-minute, replacements to the teams and stuff today. We've had games called off, scrambling around for opposition. It's certainly harking back to maybe days of about 50 or 60 years ago, if you're talking amateur tours. But it's been, absolute upheaval, and it's something we probably expected over the last week or so as the COVID situation has just got out of control in South Africa. If you were looking ahead maybe as far as the South Africa A game when they get there, since the Springbok game against Georgia has been called off for this Friday, it's possible enough, I would say, that we might actually see some of the frontline Springbok players playing in the South Africa A game in a couple of weeks' time, because they're going to need some game time themselves. They've only had one test since the Rugby World Cup final in 2019, and they obviously needed a second run out this weekend against Georgia. So I think we could actually end up seeing in a couple of weeks' time that South Africa A game against the Lions almost looking like ever so slightly like a fourth test.
Yeah, the other thing as well, Neil, we're all kind of pondering at the moment, and I appreciate it's all playing out in front of us as we preview the game, whether any of those players who've had to be pulled from tonight's game, whether that's a close contact situation. The PCR tests were only coming back about an hour ago ahead of kickoff, so it'll probably be a while before we know if any of those withdrawals are due to COVID-19.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, they did say in their initial statement earlier on this afternoon that there were some players deemed as close contacts. So, as you say, we know the players who have all been taken out of tonight's side. Some of those they are absolutely deemed as close contacts. Some of those could be COVID positives as well, because they have had some tests done this afternoon before they were cleared to play. And then also as well, there could just be some players who are just withdrawn as a precaution in case they might have been a close contact. But yeah, it's been an incredibly difficult couple of hours. I know they only apparently left for the stadium just after about 5:30 or just after 5 o'clock. In the evening, with the game at 7, a roughly 40-minute journey to Emirates Airline Park where they're playing this evening. So preparation not ideal. I'd say they're not going to get too much of a warm-up out on the pitch. It's probably going to be quite quick, quite fast, and then straight into a game at altitude. So I wouldn't really be expecting the Lions to come out absolutely firing from the start this evening.
Well, look, Tommy Bowe was on both the tour of 2009 and 2013. Unfortunately, suffered an injury in 2013, but played a starring role in all three tests in 2009. He's with us now. Tommy, how are you getting on?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, I'm only just coming up to date with those changes as well. Certainly in 2009 and 13, we never had to deal with anything like this. This is unheard of stuff. But yeah, it's a match, and that's exactly what the Lions need. It's very positive from their point of view that they can field a team and play this match tonight, because whatever about the Springboks not having played a match in 20 months, the Lions need to gel together quickly. And this match tonight will be a perfect opportunity to try and build on that win last weekend.
I appreciate, Tommy, it is entirely unprecedented, the idea of so many players having to be withdrawn so close to kickoff. But as a player, What would that experience be like? Because you're obviously running combinations in training for the last couple of days. The team will have been named. You know who you're playing alongside. You're trying to get that cohesion. And next thing, some major changes, including like the halfbacks being entirely changed just a couple of hours before kickoff.
Do you know what? If this was an Ireland camp or even in a provincial setup, you would be really panicking and wondering what the hell they're going to do. But actually in the Lions, this is what it's all about, because we don't know. The combinations are not set. They're only getting to know each other. They're all working on a fairly simple game plan. So it's an opportunity for guys to slot in, another opportunity for them to impress. And it's the guys who are missing out. They're the guys I feel for, because there's very limited chances for these players to put their hand up for a test match. And you think of the likes of Liam Williams, you think of the likes of Anthony Watson, guys out wide. When you see Josh Adams playing so well at the weekend, you see the likes of Stuart Hogg playing so well. Like, these guys need the game time. So it's difficult for those players to miss out, but another brilliant opportunity for players to step in. And I think this is actually another positive side of having Warren Gatland as coach. He doesn't play the most elaborate game plan. They're not trying to set the world alight. They've a fairly straightforward game plan that they're learning over a short period of time. So they can all slot into positions very quickly. And I think that, you know, without the pressure of maybe getting up for a game like this, they can slot in and get ready to go. And it's just really how the bodies hold up, having played that match on Saturday at altitude. And you can see that will take a lot out of their bodies.
Just to read the statement which has come in from the Lions in the last few moments. They say they confirmed that one player and a member of the Lions management team has tested positive for COVID-19 following the PCR testing as part of their screening programme, which took place earlier today. The two individuals had a total of 12 close contacts, 8 players and 4 staff members, all of whom have been placed into isolation at the team hotel. All other members of the touring party returned negative results following PCR testing, which took place earlier today. So that's a couple of members of the management team and a player who are confirmed COVID-19 cases, and then the 12 close contacts as well. So, Tommy, I guess that probably explains a lot of the composition with just one back on the bench for tonight in Finn Russell then.
You have to think it's a backs coach, really, or some of the back coaches that potentially have got the virus at the minute. And yes, it's probably from a unit session. If you look at a lot of the players who've come in, the likes of Josh Adams, this is his 3rd start, so he definitely wouldn't have been playing. He was probably rested up and not really taking part in a lot of those unit sessions. Reece Samet the same, Conor Murray the same. So yeah, you would have to think that somebody within that back setup, which is pretty obvious, but isn't it great that they still have enough players that can fulfill the fixture? Because, you know, you have to wonder if the Lions couldn't field a team for the Sharks match today, with the Bulls match being called off next weekend, the situation with the South African side, whether that A match next weekend, would that even go ahead? It would be, you know, there'll be a lot of questions going into this tour. I think the fact that they can play this match tonight means that it keeps the tour alive, keeps the wheels going, and hopefully come next Wednesday, like Neil mentioned, you know, South Africa need to put a pretty strong side out. And I would say Warren Gatland is going to go a very strong side too, because he needs his players to get up to match sharpness, because we saw that game against the Lions last weekend. Yes, it was run out, but it wasn't competitive. If they want to be match sharp going into a test match against the Springboks, they need a tough test.
Do you require that, Tommy, if you're a player going out on tour, just to actually be somewhat sharp going in? Because you look at the New Zealand tour of even just a few years ago in 2017, where the Lions got some tough games. It meant that they were actually ready to go for that first test against New Zealand. I would imagine when you're coming in and you're trying to get together as a group, you would like to get a couple of decent tests before you play the Boks.
Without a doubt, Will. You think back to the last tour, the tour in 2009, in that first test match, the Lions going into that first test, we were full of confidence, playing some great rugby. The camaraderie within the group is great. The confidence was high. All of a sudden, we walked out onto that pitch, and the first 5-10 minutes, I've never seen an intensity like it. The Springboks came at us like a freight train, and it took us a long time to really get ourselves back into the game. And we did come back into it in the second half, but Warren Gatland will have learned from that, and he knows, even watching the Springboks in the World Cup, they will come out of the blocks fast, and the Lions need to kind of get up to that match sharpness. It's easy playing these games and working on combinations, but the closer to the test matches, they'll need these tougher test games and to really put the guys under pressure to get the lungs working, because as you mentioned there, they are playing at altitude, but whenever you're winning by 30 and 40 points, you can kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit, where when it comes to a test match, you won't have that opportunity. You have to be full gung-ho for 80 minutes. So, yeah, that South Africa A match against the Lions, it would be really interesting to see what way it lines out.
And Stuart Hogg was saying last week they're still getting used to altitude at this stage. Even in terms of his kicking, he was noticing how much further the ball would actually travel, and was just it took a few days to actually even get up to speed with that, whatever about your lungs maybe hurting a little bit more when you're up that far up from sea level.
There's a lot to be said that potentially these matches might not even happen in Johannesburg now, given the COVID situation over there as well, that it is at a really bad state, the third wave in Johannesburg at the minute. Cape Town is not quite at the same level. I don't think it's going the right direction, but there is a lot of talk that all 3 test matches could be moved to Cape Town, which would of course be at sea level. My question is, at this stage, given the cases in both camps at the minute, and given what you're seeing in the Euros and Wimbledon, is there a case 2 weeks out from the tour, the first test match, to fly both teams up to the UK, play a match in Cardiff, a match in Twickenham, and a match up in Murrayfield? You know, the way I see it at the moment, that's probably a better possibility than the way they're going at the minute in South Africa.
Yeah, because we had South African journalist Peter Dutoit on the show last week, and he was making almost that exact point, which is that with the Lions not travelling around the way they normally would for a tour, the school visits aren't happening, the trips into towns aren't happening, they're in their bubble, they're just going along to play in empty stadiums. He was saying you'd be as well off to play in front of a partial crowd in Hong Kong or the Middle East than actually play in South Africa. It doesn't make much of a difference to the South African public if it doesn't happen on South African soil.
Now, I have to agree. Listen, I was 100% behind the tour going to South Africa at the start. When I heard it was going ahead, I was really excited about it. But I think back to whenever I was involved in the Lions, and it is the most special time because it is the top of the top. To represent your country was always my dream. But the Lions was beyond that. To get picked as one of the best players from the 4 countries, it is the pinnacle. But what makes the Lions really special is when you were in Johannesburg or Cape Town or Sydney, this sea of red, 30, 40, 50,000 supporters just taking over a city. It is mind-boggling. And it's kind of like football, but in rugby, we don't see that too often. So that's what makes the Lions special. So the players aren't getting that. They're not getting out to visit, the townships or the schools, or even to go down for a cup of coffee on the seafront. So what's the point? They're stuck in a hotel. They're stuck in a bubble. They're probably going to be fed up with each other after. If you think this is a 6-week tour, that is a long stint to be in a team hotel with a group of guys who you don't really know that well. And you're trying your best to get to know each other as best as you can. But it will become difficult the further the tour goes along, and particularly if there's not going to be games. The first line team will be happy. They'll be concentrating on the test matches. But think about the other 20 lads who aren't even involved. They've no other matches during those 3 test matches. And I think it's going to be a difficult tour. And that's going to be a really big challenge for Conor Murray, first-time captain, and Warren Gatland to try and keep those other guys motivated.
Well, it's going to be a challenge for the guys who usually make the DVD or video of the tour as well. Like, usually these sell extremely well afterwards. Like, the COVID tour will be interesting in and of itself, maybe to get a bit of background. But you're not going to see the banter. You're not going to see the trips. You're not going to see the guys swimming in the sea this time around.
There's only so much playing table tennis in the team room that can show, really, isn't it?
If anything, I'd actually be looking forward to seeing what goes into it, to actually see what are teams doing in the bubble, because I would have always grown up watching those DVDs. I remember we got the 2001 one. That was the first one we got at Christmas, myself and my brother, that year. And then a few years later, we discovered there was this great 1997 one. So we always would have picked them up along the years and along the tours. And, to be honest, over maybe the last couple of years, the DVDs and the videos from it, they've probably become a little bit sanitized and maybe a little bit managed a bit better for what you're actually seeing. But I genuinely would be curious to I think you could get an excellent insight into what is going on in the bubbles and how players are having to interact and having some way of bonding when, as you say, you're not able to go out to the coffee shops, you're not able to go out and have a few pints together or go down onto the beach and have an old recovery swim or something like that, or even just the general day trips going out around the schools and the clubs to get to know the communities. I actually would be fascinated to see what is going on inside in all those camps.
Neil, just to Tommy's point as well about what could happen with the rest of this tour, is it too dramatic to think that it could actually be taken out of South Africa just for the 3 tests?
I wouldn't say it's too dramatic at all. It's something I hadn't actually thought too much about that until you had brought it up a couple of minutes ago. And on the face of it, it absolutely does make sense as an option. Now, I suppose the only other part of it is that once they finish this evening's game against the Sharks, they're out of Johannesburg until potentially the last test, if everything goes to plan. They're due back on Saturday the 7th for the 3rd test in Johannesburg. But after this, they're due down to Pretoria. Now, I know they're trying to arrange potentially a game on Saturday against some other opposition, so that may or may not be in Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. But after that, they're down in Cape Town for a few games. And sorry, it's actually for the 2nd test they're due to be back in Johannesburg on the 31st of July. But I'm sure they would probably look at maybe moving everything to Cape Town, because, as you said, the COVID situation isn't as serious as it is up in the Gauteng province. To move it down to Cape Town, and I'd say potentially maybe having games in the UK or somewhere else would probably be the last resort. But I certainly wouldn't think it's off the table at the moment. I would say any viable offer or any viable solution is definitely on the table right now.
Tommy, would you have had any reservations about actually travelling if you'd been called up for this tour, if this was a few years ago?
No, not at all. I would be 100% on the plane if it was me. And all the Lions players are double vaccinated. Now, we are seeing, obviously, that doesn't mean that you are immune to the virus, but it means that you would hope people are safe from getting seriously ill. I have heard from somebody, I think in Sky Sports, that said actually the South African team are only single vaccinated. They haven't had their second one yet. I don't know if that is 100% true or not, but that is what I'd heard. It might explain why 11 cases were in the camp. But it's not just the players, it's the management team. I kind of think, you think of Paddy O'Reilly, you think of Rala down there in South Africa, who of course he would be vaccinated, but I'd fear for some of the older management guys. You know, how comfortable are they that they're there, they're stuck in this bubble and potentially could pick up the virus in a country like South Africa where they're not too sure of how well they're going to get looked after? Would they prefer to be back home? So there's a lot of things like that, a lot of man management that's going to be going on. But certainly from the players' point of view, I would imagine they would be 100% positive. They're happy to continue on. And listen, you look at the Euros again. I think I'm right in saying Tony Cruz, he had coronavirus maybe before the tournament. I think Busquets from Spain, he had the virus. I think 2 Swedish players. So it shows that the Euros was able to continue with that situation going on and players getting COVID in the camp. So I think that the Lions players will be able to continue and they'll be happy to do so.
Well, the 2021 British and Irish Lions tour on OTB Sports, brought to you by Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions. Let's hear from one of Tommy's former Ulster teammates then. Ian Henderson is captain of the Lions for the first time this evening, and he's been talking about what that experience is going to mean to him.
Incredibly excited, looking forward to it. And the lads have been preparing really well for it. Off the back of that game at the weekend, we had a real good session out of this morning. Looking forward to another one this afternoon. So we'll got our heads together and got a good game plan in place. So excitement's probably my overwhelming feeling.
Tommy, Ian Henderson succeeded Rory Best as the Ulster captain, so he's got experience of captaincy at provincial level. One game captaining Ireland, which was the loss against France in the Six Nations. Outside of that, he's a pretty new skipper here.
Yeah, he is a pretty new skipper, but he's always had leadership qualities. He's a guy who, coming through the ranks, I would have always seen as captain material. He's an incredibly intelligent guy. And I actually think where I have seen Ian Henderson playing his best rugby is when he's been challenged by people who he has a huge amount of respect for. And I think that you just look at what Paul O'Connell has done since he's come into the Irish setup, that Ian Henderson's game has just gone to a new level. I remember when John O'Gibbs came into Ulster, he really challenged Ian Henderson to try and bring out the best in him. And again, he brought up to that new level. You think of the last Lions tour, Steve Borthwick as well. So I think Ian Henderson, the higher the challenge goes, the better he responds to it. But it is an incredible honour for him to captain the side tonight, but it is a difficult situation, given he didn't know pretty much up to probably an hour ago whether the game was even going to go ahead or not. So it's funny, my daughter and son go to the same creche as his kids, and I just pulled up outside and his wife was going in to collect their kids, and I could even just see the stress on her face to not even bother asking what the situation is at the minute. So yeah, I can imagine it's difficult for everybody in the Lions camp, but particularly for Ian Henderson, a special day for him, a day where he'd be so proud to be going out and leading the Lions, but with so much disarray, it can't be easy.
Yeah, look, his performances were very good in the Six Nations, which guaranteed his call up from Warren Gatland. It's a very competitive position, the second row, and we hear about Maro Itoje coming onto the bench for this evening's game too. Is Henderson well placed to actually get a place for the Test team now, particularly given he's been picked as one of the midweek captains?
Yeah, I actually think that he is definitely going to push for a starting spot. I don't know much about the lineouts and forwards play too much, but I've heard Ian Henderson is an exceptionally good lineout caller, and particularly that's something that Paul O'Connell took him under his wing. And I spoke to Hendy quite a bit about this whenever Paulie got the nod, that they actually used to meet up a lot for coffee, would be on the phone to each other a huge amount. So Maro Itoje isn't a lineout caller as far as I know. So Ian Henderson has an opportunity to go into that Test team as the lineout caller, and as such, he's such a physical specimen, and you need that going up against the likes of Luke de Jager and Estebet, these guys who are just monsters. So if you think a second row with Ian Henderson, maybe a Maro Itoje beside him, and a Byrne in the back row, or Courtney Laws playing at 6, that's 3 big men taking on that South African forward pack.
Well, fingers crossed Byrne doesn't have to isolate for too long and he'll get a chance to play in the next set of games. We'll ask Devin Toner a lot more about the line-out calls and Treacy in the second row. He's the man with the expertise in that regard. But
he'd probably tell me Ian Henderson's never called a line-out in his life.
We can ask you about centre, because you had to stand in there in the third Test against South Africa. First, we can hear a bit from Keith Wood, who's been talking about the role of Owen Farrell so far, and his feeling that maybe Farrell isn't being used to his best ability currently.
I think Farrell is a proper Test beast. I think to be honest, the Lions used him really poorly at the weekend. And I do want to just touch on one other thing that Niamh said, whether people have played. I don't think anybody has played themselves onto the test team from that, and you couldn't have. You can't, even if you play really well, you can only do what you can do against the team that you're playing against. You can't read too much into that at all. You can't read the fact that some guys have been training together for 3 weeks and some guys for 7 days, that you can say that these guys are going to be there or not. So I don't think that that's a fair reflection. And Gatland has already said it, that he's going to really look at how players are training and playing and doing it. But if you're using Farrell as a crashing 12, that's a stupid thing to do. I mean, that's not what he is. He is the reason to have it, and we've had this discussion, first 5'8", second 5'8" in New Zealand. It's the two playmakers at 10 and 12. That idea of having another playmaker, it doesn't mean you crash him into people. There's just a pointless use of it. You wouldn't want to do it with your 10. I was looking at something on just on the same point of 10s. Marcus Smith played against the States for England at the weekend on Sunday. He's a guy who can pass the ball like a kick and nearly as fast as a kick. His passing is just a joy to watch. But I saw him running in to be part of a tackle, and the opportunity was for him to go in and win the ruck. Or compete in the ruck. I'm not going to say win the ruck, compete in the ruck. And he didn't. He stepped out and out of the way. And I was half thinking, is that a little bit cowardly?
I was just going to say that's how I would play the game there. That'd be my instinct.
No, and I said actually no, because I don't want my 10 to be bridging over a ruck and having some big hefty front row forward running in and bashing in on top of him. I want him to be back outside, and I just thought he has a high level of preservation that some of the guys don't have. And there's nothing cowardly about him because he's a fantastic defender. But so I think you need your 10s and your playmakers to play like 10s and playmakers. Sure. You don't need them to be the hard carrying guy up. And even at 12, you might do it an odd time. But I thought they did it too much at the weekend.
Right, Tommy, let's put you on the Lions selection committee here. Owen Farrell, better deployed at 10 or at 12?
I think that, personally, given the impact himself and Johnny Sexton had on the last Lions series against New Zealand, I think they turned around the series. And I think Warren Gatland has that in the back of his mind. He didn't go well at the weekend. Himself and Finn Russell didn't quite click, which I'm sure Warren Gatland and Gregor Townsend will be a little bit concerned about. But if I think about the South African line speed, and that is what they were so good at in the World Cup, we can't take them on by just trying to bash into them. I think that we're going to need to see Owen Farrell as a second ball player. And one thing that really stuck out to me in the two matches I've seen so far is this play where they had Finn Russell with three forwards outside him. And normally the out half will hit the second forward who'll either tip it on or throw it out the back. But actually what Finn Russell does, he zips it across to the third guy, which will bring all the defence right up. And the third guy pulled it out the back. The third forward pulled it out the back to Farrell. And that set away Chris Harris out wide to chip it over for Louis Zamet's try. That's two times I've seen them do that. And that would be a great tactic for trying to get outside this Springbok line speed and their defence. So I would see Owen Farrell definitely starting as 12, whether it's going to be Bigger or Finn Russell at 10. I would think he was probably interested to see how Bigger went today, but because Bigger is out, Farrell is now starting at 10 because he needs the game time. I'd say they've given him the opportunity to go in, get some more game time under his belt. Finn Russell has gone onto the bench. And the way I would see it going forward, potentially next weekend, it'd be really interesting to see if Robbie Henshaw's back fit again. I would say that you'd have Owen Farrell and Robbie Henshaw partnering each other in the centre.
Yeah, it's important.
Tommy, if I could just ask you about Robbie Henshaw, because as you mentioned, hopefully he's back fit in a week, and hopefully it's not too much longer after that. But obviously they've had to give him a little bit of extra time that you don't really want to have to be giving people on Lions tours. Just to put you back in the situation you were in 2013, it was probably a bit more severe when you got that bad injury, and I think everyone at the time probably thought it was tour over for Tommy Bowe, and they allowed you to get your surgery on it, and lo and behold, you were back in for the test team. How much confidence and belief would that have given you that, a lot of other players, I would imagine, would have been told, unfortunately, your tour is over, you're going to have to go home. But you were obviously told, no, we're going to give you as much time as you need, because they clearly wanted you to be around there. How much of a boost would that give a player mentally?
I think that, listen, I was very fortunate. 2013, it was my second match on the tour. I broke my metacarpal in my hand. It split right down the middle. And the team doctors told me, if that's a fracture, you're going home. But thankfully, it was actually an Australian surgeon over there. He saw the x-ray and said if I could put up with a bit of pain, he put 3 screws into it and told me I could be back out on the pitch in 3 weeks. So I think Warren Gatland did feel my tour was over when he heard I could be back available and training for the week of the second test. He obviously felt I had an opportunity to make it onto that test team, and he kept me on, and I was so grateful for it. And I think Robbie Henshaw is a guy he has earmarked for that test team, no doubt about it. So he will do whatever he has to do to keep Robbie Henshaw in the camp, getting himself back fit again. If he can play one more match before the test matches, he'll be back in. I'd be really interested. I don't know if I could see Alan Wynne-Jones come back into the touring squad again, but again, another leader like that, Warren Gatland, loves pulling a rabbit out of a hat. You know, it wouldn't be too surprised somewhere down the line Alan Wynne comes back with his shoulder strapped up and could come back into the test matches some way down the line.
If we take it that there's a very good chance then that Owen Farrell will play at 12 and Robbie Henshaw at 13 as the first choice, Bundee Aki's probably got a job on his hands in these next couple of warm-up games to prove that he should be beside Henshaw. Maybe Farrell might have to shift a bit to the left.
Yeah, listen, if Owen Farrell doesn't have a good game again, then questions need to start to be answered, because he didn't have a good Six Nations. He's been playing in the level below the Premiership all year. So if he is a small bit off, Warren Gatland will have to make a decision quite soon on. And the best thing that Bundee Aki can do is keep putting his hand up. He played really well in that first match. If he can keep showing that he can get over the gain line, and again, that against South Africa, if Owen Farrell is at 12, he's not the crash bang centre that you'd be expecting. Robbie Henshaw will have to do a lot of that carrying. One of the wingers, whether then a Duhan van der Merwe comes in who can get you over the gain line, a Liam Williams and Anthony Watson, so that they can free it up out wide. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think for Bundee Aki's point of view, though, he played really well in that Japan game. If he can show that he can get over the gain line, but also have the handling ability to kind of get the ball out wide, to shift it out to space against the Sharks tonight, it's another step forward for him. And potentially, you know, he's picked as a real wild card. And the reason he's picked is because Warren Gatland likes the look of him. He's caused the likes of Wales, he's caused the likes of Scotland trouble in years gone by, and we know he's a big game player. Okay, I appreciate we've been talking about the centre, but given your wing experience as well, who stands out at the moment as the best wing options for the Lions then? Listen, Keith Wood was talking about no players are nailed on yet, and absolutely not. But I think Josh Adams with 5 tries in 2 matches, and he's looked really sharp. Yes, a couple of the tries were run-ins, but if you think even back to the Wales squad with Warren Gatland there, he scored a try against South Africa in the World Cup semi-final. Warren Gatland knows he can trust him. And going into these test matches, that's what it's going to come down to. Who can he trust? Who's done it for him before? Because they're running out of test matches, they're running out of warm-up matches to really put their hand up. So Josh Adams would be one player I think is definitely nailed on. Personally, I would have thought that Warren Gatland was looking at a Liam Williams at 15 instead of a Stuart Hogg, which might be a bit debatable. But I know that he trusts Liam Williams, and he'd be very good under the likes of the high balls and stuff. And I thought Stuart Hogg being named as captain last weekend with not a very strong side, I thought that maybe was an earmark for that way. And I think then Anthony Watson could potentially push his way into the other wing. So I see a Josh Adams, Liam Williams and Watson back 3. But listen, it is a really hotly contested lineup in the back 3. Who knows what he's going to go for. Yeah, and I'd imagine Warren Gatland has to have an eye, Tommy, as well on the defensive side of the game with the players he's going to pick in his back 3 too. I mean, there's some real runners that are going to be going the other way against you too. So while you've got guys who are free scoring tries currently in the warm-up games, their defensive solidity could well play a big role in selection when it comes around. Yeah, but Josh Adams did very well up against Nkosi in that South African match. Up against the likes of Colby, it doesn't matter who's going to be defending him. That actually comes down to the likes of the Robbie Henshaws and the Owen Farrells and their work rate on the inside. I always remember trying to mark someone like Shane Williams, who was like a Colby. You could never mark him one-on-one because he had such quick feet. He'd go outside you, inside you, he'd go under your legs. I mean, you just couldn't mark him. So it's all about having the likes of a Brian O'Driscoll inside me telling me, push him up, push him into the touchline, and know that if he steps back in, that's when a Brian O'Driscoll, or say this time around, a Robbie Henshaw will clatter him into touch. So with a player like that, you have to defend him in numbers. And that's why I like the likes of Owen Farrell, because you see the work rate of him. He will keep talking, and himself and Robbie Henshaw could form a really good, interesting defensive partnership.
Well, we'll get more of an insight when the game comes round in less than half an hour's time. Tommy, thanks a million for joining us.
Guys, thanks very much. Enjoy the match.
Thanks.
Neil Treacy still with us as well. We'll be talking to Devin Toner in a moment. Neil, when it comes to the challenge that the Lions are going to face at 7pm, 9 Springboks players involved with the Sharks, they're all away in the camp currently. And they've got 4 players who are away with the South African under-20s. With the way things are with the modern series, and particularly with the safe bubbles that they have to go into at this stage, it does leave some of these sides that will be played on the tour quite weakened compared to the teams they could have played in the Rainbow Cup, for example.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And as you mentioned there, like 9 of the Cell C Sharks players are away on Springbok duty at the moment. Even going back as far as the Sigma Lions game last Saturday, they were only missing 1, maybe 2 players away with that Springboks side in that bubble. And on tours past, you would have seen maybe some of the fringe players of the international squad being released back to their clubs, like the Sharks or the Stormers or whoever, to be able to play these games. But that's not the way it is at the moment. Now, having said all that, it is, I suppose, a settled side that the Sharks have been playing over the last couple of weeks, because it is more or less what they have been going with in these opening 2 rounds they've played of the Currie Cup. They've won 1 game, they've lost 1 game. Even looking across the forwards pack that they have here this evening, 7 of those 8 players started their last 2. They started both of their games in the Currie Cup. The only one of those players that didn't is Pepsi Buthelezi, who missed out on one of those games. So, it is a largely settled squad they have in there. They do have some exciting young players in there as well. You look at the bench where they've got Ntuthuku Mchunu. Sorry, I'm just going back over those pronunciations. He's an incredibly exciting loose head prop. Scored an absolutely blistering try earlier on the season from about the halfway. So much acceleration. He's a converted back row player as well. And looking through some of those other guys as well, a name that might pop out is Jaden Hendrickse. The Hendrickse name would have been recognisable from the Lions squad on Saturday that took on the British and Irish Lions, of Jordan Hendrickse, who played out half. His older brother Jaden starts at scrum half this evening here as well. And they do have 1 former Springbok. I say former Springbok. He's had 2 caps for South Africa over the last few years, but hasn't been involved with the sides in the last 3 years. That's Kerwin Bosch at out half, a player who came in for a huge amount of criticism after they lost the Currie Cup final earlier on this season. He had an absolutely disastrous day with the tee. He missed 5 off the tee and 3 drop goals during that Currie Cup final against the Bulls in January. But look, also as well, it's an opportunity for us to see some of these players that we are going to be more likely to see next season in the United Rugby Championship.
Well, look, Tommy Bowe won 69 caps for Ireland. A man who won 1 more is Devin Toner across 10 years. 4-time European Cup winner with Leinster, and Leinster's most cap player as well. Devin is going to be on co-commentary. Devin, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me. I didn't do 2 tours though, like Tommy.
No, it's a fair point. Look, we'll swap him off. He doesn't have 4 European Cups, so it balances out by the end of it. Devin, tell me this, in terms of Ian Henderson, because we were talking about him with Tommy a few minutes ago, just in terms of him being a leader, you've played alongside him. Is he the type of guy who makes a lot of calls on the field? What kind of leader is he?
Do you know what? He's progressed as a leader over the years, and he's kind of the person. He's kind of the player that he leads by example, and he's not a big talker on the field. Do you know what I mean? So if something happens, like anytime I've been, I've never actually been captained by him, so there's always been other captains, but I've played against him for Ulster when he's captaining, and you can see that he's got a lot of respect from all the players. He's got a lot of respect from the opposition, and the referees respect him a lot as well. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no faff about him. Do you know what I mean? So he's really direct. He's really to the point. So as I said, he's not a huge talker, but he's just going to lead by what he does in the field. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be front row physically. He's going to be in the line-out. I say he's going to call a lot of ball himself, just to kind of take that onus on himself. So it's a huge honour for him as well. A huge honour for him, for his family, it's great for his kids as well. Do you know what I mean? To see in a couple of years that their dad captained the Lions. So it's absolutely delighted for him.
We don't want to read too much into it, Devin, in terms of who's named as the midweek skippers, but much like Stuart Hogg last week, people automatically think maybe he's just ahead of Liam Williams in terms of the selection call for 15. And similarly, if Henderson has been given the captaincy for a midweek game, there's a very good chance that he's going to play for the test team.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. hopefully, with my green tinted glasses on, I'd love to see him start a test, to be honest. And I think he'd be the man for the job. If you're looking at second rows, I don't think you can look past Hendy and Matoje. Do you know what I mean? With obviously Tig nipping at the heels, and maybe a 6. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of options for the line out there. But yeah, I'd love to see Hendy in that starting team.
Do we take it that Maro Itoje is absolutely nailed on to start then?
I would say so. Yeah, I'd say so. I think he'd have to have a couple of pretty bad games leading up to it in order to not, and you can't see that happening. Like from every game I've played against him, from every game I've seen him play, he is the ultimate professional, and he performs every game. Do you know what I mean? So you really can't see him not performing and not being in that test team, to be honest.
You've had to play against him with Saracens and with England playing against Ireland. What's it like to actually play against him?
Yeah, annoying. Yeah, really annoying. Especially in the line-out, because he's obviously really good at getting up in the air. He's really springy. He only really needs one lifter to get him up into the air. So wherever he is, there's always a chance that he's going to get up quick and get up in front of you. Like when it was Cruz and Itoje that we were obviously with Saracens and with England. There were my Achilles heel for a couple of years. So yeah, and I obviously around the breakdown as well. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to be at the 9. He's going to be counter rucking. He's going to be on the fringes, and it's going to be on that line all the time. You know what I mean? So the one word, and it's the positive word coming from somebody who's played against him, is annoying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think on the face of it, if you want a player to go out there and actually to disrupt things, especially at the breakdown against South Africa, he's the perfect player to do so. If Alan Wynne-Jones hadn't got injured, they probably would have been the 2 starters, Devin, do you reckon?
Yes and no. I think Alan Wynne obviously was the tour captain, but I would have liked to think that Hendy has been playing a little bit better than him this year. I think obviously Alan Wynne he's a warrior, and he's a fantastic leader, and obviously for the tests he's obviously going to be greatly missed. But whether he was a nailed-on starter, we don't know. You would have liked to think that Hendy was performing a little bit better.
Devin, do you mind if I jump in there? Sorry, Will. Just in terms of the lineouts, Devin, you would have been a player, and still are a player, I suppose. Actually, people always talk about your ability to call lineouts, and it was something that was always put to you as being a real positive in your game. How difficult is that to build up over time? And is it something you've seen a bit more in Ian Henderson over the last few years? Yeah,
it does take time. It does take a few years to learn, I suppose, and it's even harder. Obviously, because they're obviously thrown together a couple of weeks ago, and you got to get used to your back rows. You got to get used to your hookers and your props were lifted. So it's a short amount of time to get stuff right. But as line-out calling goes, I kind of learnt my trade when I was learning off Leo in Leinster, and then when I got in the Ireland squad first, I wasn't calling in Ireland first. I was learning off Paulie. So I learnt off a lot of people on the way up, and I only really started calling for Leinster full on, say, 2013, 14, 15, when I started getting, and then obviously with Ireland as well. So it's a thing that you learn off others on the way up, and you got to hone your skill. You got to practice a lot. So I think you rarely see really young guys coming in and calling good at the start of their careers, to be honest.
Probably no great surprise then, Devin, that locks generally tend to go well into their 30s then. Is that a large part of that?
Absolutely. I'm in the prime of my career. I'm 35. So. Still available for selection if someone goes out injured now.
There you go.
Well, this is your opportunity, Devin, this evening. If there is an injury, put your case forward. We'll open the floor for you to do it.
Oh my God, I don't know if my wife would be very happy with that.
We're more than happy if he just does analysis in one game and then has to go to South Africa afterwards. When it comes to the challenge that it is in terms of facing that South African pack then, Devin, I mean, it probably helps for the touring party who are playing tonight that there's all this disruption with the backs, but at least the front players that were picked for the forward pack are actually not affected by the COVID-19 outbreak and not affected by close contacts, and at least they're able to stake their claim tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it's the same starting pack, so there obviously should be a bit of cohesion there from the week. What you would probably worry about is later on in the game, 60, 70 minutes when lads are coming off the bench, you'd hope that they have the game in the bag at that stage, hopefully. But if there's a bit of to and fro in the line-out and people coming in and who haven't been there in a week and are forgetting line-out calls and getting things wrong, obviously because of their short training window, that's where you can see a bit of a bit of obviously wrong calls happening. So hopefully we won't see that.
Yeah, Tommy Bowe was saying to us it's probably not all that disruptive to the camp because you're kind of slotting in and playing with players you don't know all that well anyway. But the longer term issues, if say there's no game rearranged for this weekend, if there's any problems with the South Africa A game, which is due to be played next week, the window of preparation actually could potentially become very short here. Yeah,
I think it's different for forwards and backs as well. I think backs are able to wing it a bit more. Do you know what I mean? I think they just pass it to the wing and or do a bash up the middle. But I think when it comes to lineouts, they're so intricate, and there is a lot of learning to go on during the week. That if you're thrown in at the last minute and you don't know your lineout calls, you're kind of screwed. So I think from what I know or what I've heard, I haven't really heard much, but I think obviously I know Robin McBride a bit from Leinster, and he's a fantastic forwards coach. I'd say they have a simple enough lineup menu going into the game. You'd like to think so anyway. So with that little continuity, hopefully we don't see too much go wrong.
Even when it comes around to the test games, Devin, does it make sense for a team like the Lions, who are patched together, to keep things fairly simple at the line-out anyway? Because I would imagine that it takes a lot of work in the training ground, a lot of games to actually be able to have an intricate system. You probably keep it fairly simple, do you? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, there's no point at all trying to do anything complicated because it's such a pressure situation. You know what I mean? When you get into the 22, you can't lose that lineout because every moment you get in the opposition 22 is so precious. And you just need to be able to keep possession. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see them going to the front a lot. If the box are giving them the front line out, it's like so the main thing is just keeping possession. And if Hendy sees that they're leaving the front open, or in this game, or whoever's calling the line out, I say they're going to hit the front and just keep things really simple.
That means if you're on the far side, you're at the Springboks. Do you go aggressive against the Lions line out then?
Yeah. Absolutely, especially with the team that they have, because they've got that height. Obviously, with Steph Toy and Etzebeth and Ludi Jaeger and Mostart, there's so much height in their squad. If you just get people in the air, it gets in your head. If you're a line-out hooker and you see two pods getting up in the front, in the middle, in the back of the line-out every time, it's going to be in your head. So that's what you got to do, and that's what the Springboks are going to do. I think they've traditionally had a brilliant line-out. And they're obviously going to go after them, yeah.
Neil, you've been casting your eye over the Sharks team for tonight. What's their forward pack like?
It's a very, very young forward pack, in fairness now, but they have been doing okay in the Currie Cup, 1 win and 1 defeat. Look, the entire pack is completely uncapped so far in terms of international recognition. But I think on the bench they actually do have a couple of decent players. Someone who'd be well known to Irish fans would be Vian Herbst, wearing number 18, their substitute tight head prop. Ex of Ulster, played for 5 years for them between 2014 and 2019. 80 games he had for them and 3 tries along that time as well. And one player I'm looking forward to seeing as well, who's also on the bench, is Rainiel Hugo, Rainiel Hugo, who is it's JJ van der Mesch. Sorry, I mixed up my players there. Who I was reading up. I haven't seen too much of him so far. I have been reading up on him, and in one case he was described by a former coach as being a mix between backies both Victor Matfield and Brodie Retallick, which is a pretty serious combination of 3 second rows to throw in there. So he's someone to look at coming off the bench later on this afternoon as well. Another couple of good players in there. They've got a veteran, Tembelani Bowe, who would have scored a couple of tries last time out against the Western Province as well. He's been around the block a long time. He's 31 years of age. And then Pepsi Buthelezi at number 8 as well has had a strong campaign so far as well, just 22 years of age. But look, it's a very, very young side. Even at hooker, they've got a 21-year-old Fez Mbatha in there who hasn't really played too much so far. Did score a try last time out for them as well. But it's a very young, very inexperienced pack. But look, if there's a day where they could actually do something, it's this afternoon when you have a probably very tired Lions team. Some of those players, Josh Adams to pick out one, playing having his 3rd start in a row. Ali Price playing his 3rd game in a row as well, having started on Saturday just gone as well. And look, if there's an injury in the back line early on in this match, I'm going to be pretty curious to see what happens, because all they have is Finn Russell on the bench in terms of backline players. Maybe you might see someone like Sam Simmons having to fill in at centre at some point, and even looking across the rest of them, would someone like Talupe Faletau or Hamish Watson go in as a first centre and just crash up a few balls?
Potentially. I'd like to say welcome to our listeners to Off the Ball on News Talk as well. We've been previewing the game on Off the Ball social channels and on OTB Sports Radio for the last hour. Devin Toner, Neil Treacy, who are on commentary for the third warm-up game for the Lions against the Sharks, which goes ahead despite 12 of the Lions players having to isolate as close contacts. One confirmed player with COVID-19 and a confirmed member of the team management earlier today. But the game does go ahead, and extremely important because the Lions have no warm-up game this weekend. Devin Toner, looking forward to the game, which is now just about 10 minutes away from kickoff. What are you expecting from this Lions team, who have had to make a few changes due to those disruptions ahead of kickoff?
I'm expecting a really physical game. I think I'm looking forward to seeing Curry, the back row, Curry, Simmons and Davidi. I'm looking forward to seeing them getting the ball, especially because of the season that Sam Simmons has just had, and he's a phenomenal player, and obviously Curry's a phenomenal player as well. So really looking forward to seeing the back row get on the ball and just be physical, and just looking forward to a real dynamic game. I think the Lions, they're obviously depending on speed of ball, so we're going to need quick ruck ball. Going to need to get the 9 in. I think Ali Price is great at getting the ball out quickly. So I think it's just going to be a real physical battle at the ruck time, and obviously I'm going to have an eye on set piece. Hopefully get a bit of set piece dominance, because that always kind of leads to a good game anyway.
Well, Warren Gatland obviously has recognised the season that Sam Simmons has had coming into this tour. Eddie Jones has consistently not picked him since 2018. He hasn't played international rugby since that defeat against Ireland for England back on St Patrick's Day in 2018. Are you surprised that he wasn't in England's plans over the last couple of years, Devin?
Well, you have to be surprised, don't you? He's got that X factor. He's a Premiership top try scorer of the year, or he set the records. I mean, so it's, and for a back row to do that, it's phenomenal. Like, I think he's been the backbone of Exeter now for the last couple of years, and he's a phenomenal player. Obviously, it's hard to look past Billy as well. He's obviously a phenomenal player as well. So he was obviously keeping him out of the team. But I think everyone was kind of a bit perplexed as to why he hasn't got a few more caps anyway.
Neil Treacy, we're building towards kickoff at this stage. Just for anyone who might be joining us on the radio that didn't hear us on the stream earlier, quite a few enforced changes for the Lions with this COVID-19 situation. Can you give us a run through the Lions team there that's been changed around in the last hour?
So there have been 4 changes to the starting team, Will. All 4 of those coming in the back line. Ali Price comes in place of Gareth Davies. Owen Farrell is going to start at out half with Dan Biggar sitting out this game. Josh Adams is going to start at full back. This is going to be his 3rd start in as many games. Liam Williams has had to drop out, and Anthony Watson is also out of the starting team to be replaced by Lewis Rees-Zammit, who scored a try in his first game as a Lion on Saturday. There's also 4 changes that have had to be made to the substitutes bench. Maro Itoje will replace Tyg Byrne. Hamish Watson also comes in, as does Finn Russell and Tulupe Falatau, while captain Conor Murray, Stuart Hogg and Chris Harris have all had to drop out. So it means that it's a 7-1 split on the bench for the Lions, just 1 available back on that replacements bench.
Quite a bit of disruption all to the backs from a forward perspective, at least. All those who were named in the team on Monday are actually able to start. Devin, Bundy Aki, we talked about it a bit with Tommy Bowe earlier. This is a big opportunity for him over the last couple of warm-up games to stake a place for the test team. It remains to be seen whether it's going to be Owen Farrell playing in the centre or Owen Farrell at 10. We think if Robbie Henshaw's fit, he's probably a starter against the Springboks. Does Bundy Aki have a chance of staking a good claim to be the other centre with either Henshaw or Farrell when the tests come round?
He absolutely has a chance, yeah. I think obviously Gatland has selected him for that reason. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully he's going to put his hand up here. It like there's a good few games in between here, so there might be a few injuries or whatever. You never know what's going to happen. So I think Bundy has been playing unbelievable for the last couple of years for Ireland, and I think whenever he plays, he puts his body on the line, and he's so skillful and he's just so physical in everything he does. So he absolutely has a chance to put his hand up here for test selection again, whether it is with Robbie in the centre or with Farrell at 10, we don't know. So it's all to be seen.
Yeah, and the word is as well, Devin, he has been working on refining his tackling, which has been a concern. You know, the couple of red cards he's picked up along his career, that if he's gone up against the box, the last thing you want is to end up with 14 men on the pitch in a test match.
Absolutely, I think it's in his blood the way he tackles. I think, to hear that he's taken it down a bit is probably good. But obviously, he brings that edge to his game whenever he plays. Like.
Well, look, we're only 5 minutes away now for kick-off with the Lions against the Sharks. We'll be back with Devin Toner and Neil Treacy bringing us full commentary after this short break.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Thinking of a new Mercedes-Benz? MSL Grange Motors on the Pottery Road has an extensive range of petrol, diesel, hybrid and electric Mercedes-Benz models. New models such as the GLA Hybrid and the electric EQA have just arrived in our showroom, and there has never been a better time to order your new Mercedes-Benz, as we are offering very competitive trade-in allowances. So call us on 01 2369 200 or email grange@msl.ie to book your appointment today.
If you're all at sea for mealtime ideas, we've landed the answer. Fresh Irish haddock. A delicious, nutritious white fish, and it's so versatile. Like grilled haddock with a salad of baby gem, eggs and crispy bacon. Or spiced haddock with lemon couscous. The perfect summer dish. For more delicious meal ideas, visit boardbia.ie. And next time you're in the supermarket or fishmongers, look out for fresh Irish haddock brought to you by your local fishermen. Fresh ideas, great meals from Board Bia.
Craft like sport takes passion and practice. Eyes and hands working together, creating something beautiful. I'm Rachel Blackmore. This summer, we can support Ireland's makers and shop for beautiful things in-store or online at madelocal.ie. Love Made Local. Supported by Design and Crafts Council.
At Harvey Norman, we've got big deals on home appliances. Get the Whirlpool 4-zone induction hob for only $429 and get a set of Berghoff premium pots absolutely free with this hob. Or save a massive €114 with a Neff double oven with Circotherm technology. Perfect for grilling, baking and roasting. Now $745. And we're matching all competitors' prices, even their sale prices. Shop our big deals online or in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, your cooking specialists.
In a world where they said it couldn't be done, the impossible has been achieved. They've taken the perfect chicken breast sandwich and made it even perfecter. More perfect. Really, really better. How did they do this?
Could I have bacon and cheese on that, please?
That's right. A little extra sizzle is now in store. Supermac's new chicken breast sandwich. The best just got better with bacon and cheddar.
Hi, this is Eamon Coughlin. Have you got a moment? A huge amount changed in the last year, but not everything. Worldwide, hunger, homelessness and war still leave people desperate for food, water and shelter. In 14 countries, Goal is providing essential support, but we can only bring positive change thanks to Irish generosity. That's why we need your help urgently. Please donate whatever you can afford at goal.ie. There's still so much more to do. Thank you.
Our intercity trains are now operating at 50% capacity, in line with public health guidelines. That means if you have a journey, you must pre-book your intercity ticket at irishrail.ie. Thank you for helping us all stay safe. From Iarn Road Éireann, part of the Transport for Ireland network.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Welcome back to Off the Ball and our coverage of the Lions against the Sharks in the Lions' third warm-up game. Still to come on the football show after 9. We'll be talking to Louise Quinn and Johnny Ward about England against Denmark and Italy's win on penalties last night against Spain. But time for us to go to commentary now on the Lions against the Sharks. We're joined by former Ireland and current Leinster lock Devin Toner, who's alongside Neil Treacy.
Thank you very much, Will, and you're very welcome along to Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg, where the British and Irish Lions are looking to make it 3 wins out of 3 on the 2021 tour of South Africa. They're taking on the Cell C Sharks, the 4-time Super Rugby finalists and 8-time Currie Cup champions. And after a nervous few hours this afternoon, we are finally there and ready to go in this game. The Sharks coming out onto the pitch. To remind you, if you're just joining us, the Lions have had to make 4 changes to their starting team and 4 changes to their bench after the upheaval of positive COVID-19 tests in their camp this afternoon. Ali Price comes in place of Gareth Davies at scrum half. Owen Farrell is to take the place of Dan Biggar. Anthony Watson and Liam Williams are also out of the back line, with Lewis Rees-Zammit and Josh Adams taking their place on the wing and full back. And Maro Itoje, Hamish Watson, Finn Russell and Talupe Falatau all come into the bench, with Tyg Byrne, Conor Murray, Stuart Hogg and Chris Harris all unavailable. That's because there were two individuals who had 12 close contacts who tested, two individuals testing positive for COVID-19, as well as 12 close contacts. That's 8 players and 4 staff. But we are here, we're ready to go now. Referee Jakob Pepar is in the centre of the pitch, and we are ready to get underway at Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg as the Lions take on the Cell C Sharks. And I'm delighted to welcome along this evening's co-commentator, Devin Toner. Devin, good evening.
Good evening, and thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We're at a ground that you know quite well. I was going to wait a little while to bring it up, but Ellis Park here in Johannesburg, the scene of one of your 2 tries for Ireland.
Is that where it was, is it?
It was, yeah. Second test in 2016. I was looking this up this morning.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it was a good tour, all right. It was a good tour. Good memories.
Well, we're underway here. We'll get into a little bit more later on, but we are underway. The Lions playing from right to left in this opening half, as Josh Adams, in his 3rd start of the series so far, takes the ball and carries it just outside the 22. The Lions 10-15 metres in from the far touchline, just outside their own 22, as Ali Price prepares a left-footed box kick and sends it up in the direction of the halfway line, one for Lewis Rees-Zammit to chase, and he knocks it down into the hands of Josh Navidi, making his Lions debut after his call-up in place of the injured Justin Tipperick. The Lions spreading it back out into midfield now, as Elliot Daly cuts back inside, looks to pop off to Bundyaki before eventually putting it into the hands of Owen Farrell. The Lions 30 metres out from their own try line, right in the centre of the pitch. Ali Price moving the ball to the right to Tom Curry, who touches the ball for the first time as a line, as Price goes back out to the right to his captain for the night, Ian Henderson, and Lewis Rees-Zammit with a beautiful grubber kick down the line and just tries to get a second touch onto it before it's taken into the hands of Manny Liebach of the Sharks, who get the ball for the first time of the evening, but they kick it straight back down the channel to the Lions, and it's into the hands of Owen Farrell, starting it out half this evening. Hasn't even had time to get a number on his jersey, such was the scramble for selection. I'm looking around now to see how many of the other Lions players this evening are playing on numberless shirts, but Owen Farrell starting it out half certainly is as well, as we're in a bit of kick tennis here, and the Lions have a penalty just around 40 metres out. The Sharks not retreating off that kick, they were just about offside, but the first opportunity for the Lions to put it down into the corner so far this evening.
Nice opportunity now to kick into the corner and put down a marker for the line out in the maul.
And Owen Farrell gets an excellent kick on that to about 10 metres from the Cell C Sharks try line over on the far side of the pitch. As I said, the Lions playing from right to left as we are watching it in this opening half, and it was just an offside there from the kick from Kerwin Bosch. It was the fullback Manny Liebach who had just strayed offside ahead of his kicker and illegally challenged the Lions forward. So we're going with a 1-2-3-4-5-6-man lineup. Josh Navidi standing in as the receiver, as Adam Beard takes it in his Lions debut as well, having been called up for the injured Alan Wynne-Jones. And it's Luke Cowan-Dickey who has it now at the back of this maul. The Lions 10 metres out from their own try line, and Cowan-Dickey pops it out to Ali Price, who plays a crash ball towards Bundyaki, and Bundyaki now it's popped up into the hands of Ian Henderson, who carries, and Ali Price skips out to Owen Farrell, who finds the gap and puts it into Lewis Rees-Zammit's hands, and straight away it's Josh Adams who has it in under the post. Josh Adams cannot stop scoring at the moment. The Lions, 2.5 minutes into this game, are in for their opening try, and it's a 6th try in a Lions jersey for Josh Adams. Perfect start for the Lions, Devin.
Yeah, perfect start. Really good line out, really good maul, and a couple of good direct carries from Ian Henderson there, and trying to keep the ball alive with Farrell and Rees-Zammit. So it's a really good start to the game.
Josh Adams in absolutely sensational form. 4 tries the other night on Saturday evening at this stadium, and it's taken him just 2.5 minutes to get in for his latest, as he dots down right under the post, and it's going to be the easiest of conversions for Owen Farrell, who kicked 8 out of 8 the last day. He's now 9 out of 9 in a Lions shirt in 2021. The Lions leading by 7 points to 0, just 3.5 minutes in here at Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. Well, Josh Adams, Devin, he's firmly put himself in contention for a test shirt so far, and he's just continuing to do it there again.
Absolutely. I think he said himself that he's a winger and obviously a full back today, but he says obviously wingers, they put themselves in the positions to score the tries. So that's exactly what he did there. He was there in the position to score the try, and he took full of it.
And the Sharks restart this game, sending it deep towards Duan van der Merwe, who takes it and is knocked back in towards the 22. Ali Price clearing and sends it straight out into touch. So it's going to be Sharks line out just inside the Lions half of the pitch. And looking around, Devin, you can really actually just sense the unease and the frantic nature of the build up to this game for the Lions, because I was trying to pick out the jersey numbers in advance here, and as I mentioned, Owen Farrell doesn't have a number on his jersey. I'm almost positive Lewis Rees-Zammit is wearing 10 on the back of his as opposed to the 14 that he's, in theory playing in.
Yeah, obviously Ralla hasn't been doing his job properly.
Line out thrown in by the Sharks, and it's taken by scrum half Jaden Hendrickse to Werner Koch.
There was really good air pressure in the line out there from Hendy. He got it in the air and got a hand to it.
And it was a combination of himself and Adam Beard who forced that turnover and popped it up to Mako Vunipola, who's crashed down now, and the Lions are in possession here inside the Sharks half. Cowan Dickey to Owen Farrell, skipping it back outside to Rees-Zammit, who appears to be playing in the centre so far today, out to Duan van der Merwe on this near touchline, skipping back inside and getting the Lions into the 22 of the Sharks, drifting back in field, 15 in from this near touchline. Xander Fagerson with his first carry of the game so far. Ali Price back inside, moving it out towards the right. Owen Farrell now, and it's Sam Simmons, his first carry of the afternoon. Lions just on the 22 ball centre of the pitch, as Price looks back towards the right and gives it to Bundyaki, who makes a good carry, but he's tackled excellently by the flanker James Werner. And it's Josh Adams now breaking into the 22 over on that far touchline. Tom Curry standing in at scrum half, almost spills the ball but manages to hold on to it before he's tackled to the ground. Price going back out to the left to Navidi. Lovely little pop inside to Mako Vunipola, who makes an extra couple of yards. Ali Price plays it quickly out to Owen Farrell, who delays his pass ever so slightly and pops it back up to Price. Price out to Simmons, who has a bit of space to work with here, and he skips it outside to van der Merwe, and Duan van der Merwe is going to get in for the Lions' second try just 6 minutes into this game. The Lions starting absolutely brilliantly, and they now lead by 12 points to nil. Duan van der Merwe finishing that one, his second try in a Lions shirt.
Kind of a mix of really direct carries and then keeping the ball alive as well, so it's really good to see the continuity there. There's a couple of inside balls, and obviously Farrell there popping it back up to Ali Price, so Simmons keeping the ball alive and passing out wide to Van der Merwe there, so it's just a good mix of really direct carries from, say, Fagerson and stuff, and then a couple of offloads. It was great to see.
And playing at a real pace as well early in this game.
Yeah, like the Sharks haven't had the ball yet, have they? So the Lions are keeping hold of the ball really well, and their ruck speed is really good at the minute, so hopefully they can keep it up.
And Owen Farrell taps over the conversion and brings his tally for the series so far up to 20 points, his 116th point as a Lion. 96 points across the two previous tours for Owen Farrell, as we see a replay of this try here. Beautiful skip pass from Sam Simmons, who could nearly have made it towards the line himself before firing it out to Duan van der Merwe on this near wing. And the South African-born Scottish international has his second try in a Lions shirt. As Kerwin Bosch gets us back underway, the Lions leading the Sharks by 14 points to nil just 7 minutes into this match. And it's Simmons who takes it just inside his own 22. Adam Beard helping Alan Price dig out the ball. Price 10 metres in from the far touchline, and once again looking to box kick and sending one up for Lewis Rees-Zammit to chase. And Lewis Rees-Zammit does well, and he is indeed wearing the number 10 shirt, Lewis Rees-Zammit, taking it from Dan Biggar, as Jaden Hendrickse just delayed his pass on the line straight offside. Penalty advantage being played for the Sharks, and Ian Henderson once again making a really good choke tackle with the help of Tom Curry, but the Sharks managed to get the ball wriggle free. It's a good carry from Kwesi Mona before the advantage isn't coming, and we're going to come back for this Sharks penalty. The Lions just about drifting offside.
Yeah, a couple of lads a bit too eager on the first defensive set. I think Hendy got a bit too eager and was trying to smash a lad, but give away the penalty there. So just got to keep probably the discipline there.
It is only 8 minutes in, but we've been clearly able to see the intensity that Ian Henderson in particular is coming out with. I know he strayed offside on that play. He was probably a little bit over eager, but a couple of big tackles he's put in so far, and a couple of big carries in the lead up to the first try of the game.
Yeah, do you know what? As captain, he's going to want to lead from the front, and that's what he does so well. He's got a lot on his shoulders, being captain and being line-out caller as well, probably pack leader. So She's obviously liking the pressure, I suppose, these days.
An early change is that to be made as well for the Sharks. Reniel Hugo is coming on, the team's top try scorer in the Rainbow Cup. He scored 3 times across their 6 matches. Joined from the Cheetahs this year. He's on in place of Hiron Andrews, who's just had to come off the pitch for a head injury inspection. Hiron Andrews turned 26 yesterday, but his night could be over early enough this evening. 8.5 minutes played, and the British and Irish Lions lead by 14 points to 0. The Sharks with their first attacking opportunity, having kicked that penalty inside into the Lions 22 on the far side of the pitch, and the hooker Fez Mbatha prepares to throw in, and he finds Hugo, who's just onto the pitch, but the ball is bobbling around, and in the end it's gone forward, and the Lions have turned that one over. Good pressure from Adam Beard there at the line out, Devin.
Again, it was really good from Ian Henderson. Came in from the back and got a hand to it. I think they've got 2 pods going up. They've got Beard and they've got Hendy going up at the back, so it's really good pressure.
Adam Beard at 6'8", tiny in comparison to yourself, Devin.
Tall timber. Just get him in the air and obviously get a bit of disruption going.
He's someone I'm sure you've played against a couple of times. My impressions, having seen him, just an absolute menace at defensive lineouts and on mauls. He just seems to have an ability to get his hands over in those long limbs and just pulling people in left, right and centre, and an excellent ability to just kind of splinter a maul and cause it a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in the mould of a Luke Charteris. Obviously, they used to play with Wales. He's a really good player, and he deserved the call up, definitely. So yeah, he's a menace in the opposing mauls anyway.
The clock strikes 10 minutes and the first scrum of the game goes to Gran Makavunapola, falling flat onto his stomach, but we're just going to reset here quickly. Jakob Pefar delivering the messages to the front rows, getting them in order. The Lions front row of Makavunapola, Luke Cowan-Dickey and Xander Fagerson. Makavunapola, the 3 of them actually having come off the bench the last time round. Warren Gatland clearly choosing pods of 3s for his game, for his selection so far. Ken Owens, Rory Sutherland and Tyg Furlong all started the opening game together. They're on the bench this evening. And up against Kwesi Mona, Fez Mbatha and Kakuthu Mchunu. And it's an early penalty for the Lions over on the far side. It's the loose-head Kwesi Mona who's penalised up against Xander Fagerson this evening. Fagerson's first start in the Lions shirt, having initially been meant to be starting the opening game of the series, but having to pull out due to an injury, as Elliot Daly takes that penalty left-footed and drives it right down into the Sharks half of the pitch.
Good psychological battle there, won at the first scrum. To get a good penalty like that in the first scrum it's always good to get one up to get in their heads.
And a sloppy lineup, but the Lions do manage to recover, but they've been turned over in the tackle. His own Farrell makes an excellent tackle himself on Mchunu, the tight head prop, but it's Hendricks who pops the ball out, and the Sharks just going backwards here a little bit. Pepsi Buthelezi has tackled well, but a penalty advantage being played for them as Hendricks puts it back to Bosch, and Bosch passes to his inside centre. Marius Lowe touches the ball for the first time in the game and ekes out a few excellent yards, ultimately stopped by a tackle by Adam Beard. Follow-up carry is stopped by by Tom Curry. The Sharks 5-10 metres in from this far touchline, just around the halfway line, going through the phases at the moment. Adam Beard and Xander Fagerson tried to get in over that ball to turn it over as the Sharks go back towards that far side of the pitch, and it's the hooker Mbatha who's stopped excellently by Ian Henderson again. The Sharks struggling to gain any real momentum so far. Timbalani Bowley with a good carry, and Hendricks puts it back to Bosch and out to Lowe, and Jeremy Ward gets his first touch of the game so far. Still really just hanging around the halfway line, the Sharks so far. The Lions defending quite well. The Sharks just going back towards the far touchline as the fullback Manny Liebach gets the ball into his hands, and that's an excellent break from Werner Koch out on the left wing, and he pops it back inside. And it's a sloppy pass and a sloppy catch by Manny Liebach, and he dropped the ball with the line at his mercy. A huge let-off for the Lions and a wasted opportunity for the Sharks as the Lions clear the ball down the pitch. A huge boot from Elliot Daly, and it gets a lovely bounce and is just putting Marius Lowe under all sorts of pressure. Duan van der Merwe helps to tackle as well, but he's done excellently to pop the ball out to Thacker Abrahams and keep this play alive for the Sharks. They get up towards the halfway line once again on this near touchline as the substitute Reniel Hugo makes a short carry, but it's a penalty coming here for the Sharks just inside their own half, 5 or 6 metres in from the near touchline. But Devin, what a wasted opportunity for the Sharks there. It was the fullback Manny Liebach who just couldn't get his hands on that pass from Werner Koch.
Absolutely, yeah, it was very frantic. It was originally a very good D set for the Lions. They the Sharks weren't getting past the halfway line there, but then obviously they got that break up the touch line. I'm not sure who missed the tackle there. I think it might have been Ali Price, but yeah, no, if you only held on to that, that was obviously a try scoring opportunity.
And it was made really by the winger Werner Koch, who is a 7-star in his own right, one of South Africa's all-time sevens greats. He hasn't played too much of the 15s game down the years, but he's played more than 250 times for the Blitz box. 2016 Olympic bronze medal to his name as well, and was once a World Sevens Player of the Year as he just bounced off the tackle of Lewis Rees-Zammit, and a brilliant handoff as he flew down the wing there, and the pass inside, it probably was just a little bit out of reach of Manny Liebach in the end. It's probably a poor pass rather than a poor catch, you think?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Again, if he had held on to it and went to deck and recycled it, you never know what would have happened.
And the line out to the Sharks right on the 22 here is James Fenter makes a good carry and gets them inside into the 22, 15 in from the near touchline. Marius Liu now is stopped by Tom Curry with a short burst. Jaden Hendrickse sends it out to Ruben Van Heerden as they come back towards this near side, and it's Thacker Abrahams who gets the ball out to one of his forwards, who's stopped by a Lions player, and they go back infield again, 20 metres in from this near touch line, just inside the 22. Another penalty advantage being played as the Sharks slowly just about getting back into this game. Manny Liebach deciding he wants to take the penalty and just played a grubber to nowhere straight into a Lions player, but the penalty was coming, and Jakob Pepar has his hand out. It's a high tackle against one of the Lions players, and it looks like they're going to go straight down towards this near touchline. Kerwin Bosch has the ball in his hands, and they're going to have a line out just 5 metres out. But similar enough to the last day against the Sigma Lions, Devin, an excellent start for the Lions. But you can probably see this is the altitude catching up on them again. They had this spell the last time out where they started brilliantly, and probably the middle third of that first half they fell away. And you can kind of see there's a few players scrambling for breath out there.
Yeah, absolutely. They came out of the blocks flying, and it's catching up with them there now, I think. But they've got a front up now for this defensive maul set.
Sharks set up a maul as Adam Beard tries to get his hands in over the top and disrupt it. Fez Mbatha, the hooker, has the ball at the back of the maul, which isn't moving too much at the moment. Beard has his hands on him. He's pulling his jersey over his head as Ian Henderson breaks out and tries to help. And it's a huge carry by Jaden Hendricks at the scrum half, getting them up to just short of the try line. It's an excellent turnover, and the Lions have turned the ball over right on their try line through Luke Cowan-Dickey, and they have possession now just short of their own try line. Ali Price is beckoning in Adam Beard to help him protect the ball, and it looks like he's preparing to send a kick left-footed right up the channel here, and the Lions have managed to clear their lines and get the ball out into touch 40 metres from their own try line. Excellent work from Luke Cowan-Dickey to turn that ball over. Looks like with the help of Tom Curry as well, if we can see the replays in front of us, but they look like they were under some severe pressure. But yeah, it's Tom Curry getting in over there in the jackal position and just managing to flick the ball back for Curry to pick it up and break his way out over the try line.
Could he have been off his feet there a little bit? I don't know. But obviously ref didn't see it. But absolutely unbelievable turnover by Tom Curry there. Like
a true blindside flanker, off his feet on his own try line, managing to turn it over under the nose of the referee and getting away with it.
And then Cowan-Dickey gets the plaudits.
Mbatha throws into the line out, 40 metres out from the Lions try line, but it's a poor throw over the top, and they managed to lose possession. It's the Lions who have it back once again, and Ali Price puts it to Owen Farrell, who sends a high kick up down towards the far touchline. One for Lewis Rees-Zammit to chase, and he does well and manages to hit Manny Liebach hard as the Sharks scramble to get the ball back into Thacker Abraham's hands, who's swallowed up by Tom Curry. The Sharks in possession of the ball, 5-6 metres in from the far touchline, 30 metres out from their own try line, and Bundyaki flew in, but it was clearly in from the side to pick up the ball, and it's going to be a Sharks penalty. Bundy just a little bit too eager there.
Yeah, a little bit too eager. I think you got to err on the side of caution there. I think the discipline in the last couple of minutes, they've given away a good few penalties now, so I think they've got to err on the side of caution now in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Get back on the ref's good side.
As Kerwin Bosch prepares to send the kick down towards the far touchline and brings play up to just outside the Lions 22. As we mentioned there, Devin, the altitude probably starting to catch up on players. What was your experience of it down the years when you would have toured South Africa?
Yeah, it does affect you a bit. I think obviously with your training, you try and get a bit used to it. But there's no getting around it. It's just something you have to deal with, and it does affect the lungs. I tell you that.
Mbatha finds his second row Ruben van Heerden, and they go straight off the top, and it's Jaden Hendricks who pops it out to his inside centre Marius Lowe, but that ball's knocked on and Josh Navidi gives it to Ali Price, and the Lions look to get it wide and break away, but the pass was loose, and Duan van der Merwe in the end has done very, very well to hold on and pop the ball off to Josh Adams, and Price back inside to Elliot Daly. Oh, this is a beautiful counter-attacking move from the Lions. Elliot Daly isn't going to have the pace to get up as far as the 22. Werner Koch tackles him, and Werner Koch gets in over it, but he's lying all over the ball. It's a penalty advantage coming for the Lions as Ali Price gets it out to Adam Beard. Beard pops to Tom Curry to Bundyaki, who's tackled just outside the 22, looking to get an offload, but in the end decides better of it and holds onto the ball and brings it to ground. The Lions 15 metres in from the far touchline. Tom Curry, beautiful pass to Luke Cowan-Dickey to Sam Simmons, and it's knocked on into touch, but we are going to come back for a penalty here. And the Lions going from defending on their own line to being ever so close to breaking away and going in under the post. That was a beautiful bit of counter-attacking rugby, Devin.
Absolutely. I think it might have come from a Henderson rip rather than a knock-on, but great seeing the attacking rugby there. I think Tom Curry had two really important passes in the attacking set there, so good to see him getting the ball.
I think Elliot Daly's in a bit of pain here because he shipped some enormous tackle. He was fending off one of the Sharks players as he was getting up towards the 22, and unbeknownst to him, Werner Koch was trailing him on the other side and absolutely levelled him with a shot into the ribs. Perfectly legal. But
he's getting the yellow here.
It's a clear line break. I get you want to compete because
he's getting the yellow, I think, because after the tackle he just tried to get in over the ball and ended up falling in over it. The tackle was certainly legitimate, but I think it was the way he fell over the ball in the end. And Werner Koch is going to go to the sin bin for the next 10 minutes. As we see it here, that's the hit he put in on Elliot Daly. It was a beautiful, beautiful tackle right into the ribs. And as you can see, he gets up off the ground, tries to compete, and he just falls right over the top of it under pressure from a couple of players. And I think when we look at the replay, it probably is clear as day that's going to be a yellow card.
I'll have a look, but it looks like you take the pressure off. Here's your mark.
Time still off here as we come up towards the 20-minute mark, and the British and Irish Lions lead the Sharks by 14 points to 0. A reminder that the 2021 British and Irish Lions tour on OTB Sports is brought to you with Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions. We will be bringing you live commentary of every game of this tour, having started with the game against Japan, that 28-10 win a couple of weeks back, then the 56-14 win against the Sigma Lions. Now the Sharks this coming Saturday. Hopefully we will have a game to bring you. The Lions confident they will have an opposition after their game against the Bulls was postponed. Line out for the Lions though, just 5 metres out of, and kick that penalty into touch in this near side of the pitch, mauling it up towards the try line, and they're getting closer and they're getting closer. The pack of forwards certainly look like they're over the line. Referee Jaco Pepar comes in. He's decided it's time off. Luke Cowan-Dickey is the man who thinks he scored the try, but it looks like we're going to check with the assistant referee and maybe the TMO. Jaco Pepar didn't see a grounding. Luke Cowan-Dickey seems confident enough he got the ball down though.
Yeah, definitely looks like a try. Really good maul set up. Went to the front of the line out. It was a 6+1. So Henderson secured it, and it looked like a really good setup. So hopefully that's try.
Well, the on-field decision at the moment is no try, but that is because Jaco Pepar says he just didn't see any grounding. So if the TV replays can give us a bit more luck, it looks like it's going to be a third try of the evening for the Lions, as we see a mound of players piling in over this try line. Sometimes the hardest part is just picking out where the ball is. As we can see there, Luke Cowan-Dickey gets over. He's trying to turn over, and it looks it looks like he's just knocked it on. It's just fallen out of his hands as he was lying on his back trying to put the ball back over his head to touch it down off the ground. But it does look at the last second, Devin, that he's knocked that one on.
Yeah, no, it's hard to score when you're on your back and you have the ball like that.
Scrum to black. That's right.
So it's going to be a 5-metre scrum to the Sharks, as they still have 9 minutes left on that sin bin for Werner Koch in the lead up to the penalty that caused this line out. But Luke Cowan-Dickey, line number 851, still looking for his first try in a Lions shirt. He played his first game as a Lion on Saturday just gone against the Sigma Lions, having missed the game against Japan due to being in Premiership final action with the Exeter Chiefs, one of a number of Exeter players who were involved that day in that defeat to Harlequins. So he's still looking for his first try. The Lions leading by 14 points to 0 against the Sharks. Just over 20 minutes played here at Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. Sharks with the put into this scrum, 5 metres out from their own try line. The Lions having won a penalty off the opening scrum of the match, and this one's gone straight to ground all over again. Messy start to these scrums, Devin, as we just get reset once more.
Yeah, pretty messy. It's not something you want to see. You obviously want to just see a bit of stability and obviously staying up. So, yeah, hopefully we can. Jacob Piper can sort them out.
Your Leinster scrum forwards coach Robin McBride has been given the honour of working with the pack on this tour. What have you learned from him over the near 2 seasons now? You've been involved with him since he joined you after the Rugby World Cup in 2019.
Yeah, he's been brilliant for us. I think he's really good. He's really big in the detail. He does scrum and he does line out as well. So he'd be in charge of the attacking line out as well. So he knows the stuff anyway. I'll say that.
As we prepare to pack down once again, it goes to ground, and this time the penalty is going the way of the Sharks. Mako Vunipola fell to ground as James Fenter comes in and is slapping the back of all his players and maybe getting into the face of those Lions front row players a little bit, as Xander Fagerson and Luke Cowendicki are looking for an explanation from Jacob Piper, who says you're all falling straight away.
Yeah, it looked like it was obviously a bit of slip from all the front row, and they just kind of went flat. I think so. Fagerson he just needs to keep his feet underneath him a bit more. Whether that's the weight coming from the second row or the back five, we don't know. But obviously, we just need to keep it up.
And that's a massive clearance kick from Kerwin Bosch. As we just get another replay of the scrum, and yes, straight away you can just see it's Mako Vunipola and all that Lions front row really just going straight to ground after the engagement. And the penalty coming to the Sharks, and as I said, they've cleared that up towards this near touchline, right on the halfway line, and another attacking opportunity for them. They've been a little bit messy at times with their line out so far, and going right towards the tail here as Ian Henderson tried to get up and disrupt it, but it was well held in the end by the Sharks players. But they've knocked it on in midfield, and Josh Navidi gets his hands on the ball, and the Lions have won the turnover. Knock-on advantage coming in favour of the Lions as Navidi finally gets to ground. And the Sharks have come in over the top there, but the referee says play away, and Owen Farrell is grubbering one down towards the far corner. One for Lewis Rees-Zammit to chase, and it looked like it was about to sit up nicely for him. And in the end, he's just knocked the ball on. It slipped away from him at the last second. And it's actually going to be a penalty for the Sharks now. Lewis Rees-Zammit deemed to be holding on. Initially, it was just the knock-on going against him. But just one of those ones, Devin, when the ball looked like it was about to sit up nicely from off the grubber, and it just ran away in the end.
Absolutely. I think with the winger being sin bin, we might see a few more probing kicks in behind, or a few more kick passes, maybe crossfield kicks maybe, so keep an eye out.
Yeah, and as soon as the ball was turned over, you could see it was something that Owen Farrell had in his mind, as Kerwin Bosch drives another kick down into the Lions' half of the pitch. 23.5 minutes played, and it's the British and Irish Lions who lead by 14 points to 0. The tries in the opening few minutes from Josh Adams, his 6th of the tour in just his 3rd match. Adams making his 3rd start of the campaign as well, after that rake of changes in the lead-up, after a number of COVID positives were recorded in the Lions camp, and as on top of that, a number of close contacts deemed, as the Sharks retain possession, and Owen Farrell and Ian Henderson helping out with a good choke tackle in midfield, but the Sharks do well to bring it to ground. Yeah. And that's excellent work in the end from the Lions. They've won the turnover. The ball was brought in and not playable.
I think Maul was called earlier. Obviously, when you see Farrell and Henderson holding them up, I think it's something that Henderson's really, really good at on Farrell as well.
And it's a handful of times we've seen him involved in those types of tackles so far. They haven't always, ended up in a maul. Sometimes the Sharks have been able to bring the ball into ground, as we can see. Well, in fairness, he was the 3rd man in. We'll give Owen Farrell and Josh Navidi the credit on this one. Ian Henderson came in at the end, but it was excellent work from Navidi, it has to be said.
But even if the Sharks do get the ball back, it slows the ruck down. It gives the Lions another chance to set their D-line. So it's a really good tactic.
Is it a dangerous one in this day and age where you run the risk of coming in a little bit too high into those tackles?
It's always a risk. Every tackle is a risk these days, to be honest. But I think obviously the maul tackle in the middle of the pitch, it is and it isn't.
So Lions scrum right on the halfway line here in the centre of the pitch. Ali Price preparing to feed. And again, it's going to ground. It's been really, really scrappy and slippy in these scrums so far. First it was the Lions penalty, then it was the Sharks penalty. We haven't had one set to completion yet. And the first gone to ground once more as we see the replay. I mean, there's probably both sides in that, Devin, really, isn't there?
Yeah. I think it kind of looks like the bind a little bit. I think Ferguson maybe might need to bind a bit higher, but I think both teams just need to take the hit and obviously just take it.
Well, Paper wasn't prepared to mess around in the opening two scrums, our referee this evening. He allowed them one reset and decided on a penalty thereafter. And once again, this is messy. Penalty advantage coming for the Lions. Sam Simmons breaks with the ball now towards the back, and he's stopped by Jaden Hendrickse as Price gives the ball right to Owen Farrell, who sends a lovely little kick down the touchline. And it's one for Duan van der Merwe to chase, and van der Merwe manages to grubber on, and he's in for his second try of the game, and he's in for the Lions' third in this near corner of the pitch. Lovely little break off the back of that scrum, and a beautiful kick from Owen Farrell, perfectly judged. Duan van der Merwe getting the second little nudge on it and judged the pace on it well, diving on the ball in the near corner. His second try of the match, his third in a Lions shirt, and it's the British and Irish Lions who lead the Sharks by 19 points to 0.
Yeah, again, very scrappy scrum, obviously we don't want to see, but obviously capitalising on that yellow card from that the winger's not there. So great kick in behind, and a great little chip by Van der Merwe there to regather as well.
Owen Farrell was a player we were talking about in the build-up, and I think he was someone a lot of people said needed to have a good game today because he hasn't really looked his best. He's been sharp enough this evening so far. In defence, he's made some good tackles, and we spoke about the grubber kick he played through that nearly connected with Lewis Rees-Zammit a few minutes ago, and that beautiful kick down into the corner for Van der Merwe to chase. They were both on the money.
Yeah, I think he's made some really good decisions. He's carried the ball when he's needed to carry it, and he's kept hold of it. But he's also made a good few offloads as well. But he's just made some really good decisions so far in the first 30 minutes.
Owen Farrell has been 9 from 9 off the tee in his 2 games for the Lions so far in this series. This arguably the toughest kick he's had though so far. Right on this near touchline, just a couple of metres in from it, just outside the 22. Looking to send it right-footed and potentially put the Lions into a 21-0 lead 28 minutes into this match. And Farrell has struck it. He struck it well, and it's gone inside the far post. And the Lions are leading this game by 21 points to 0. If you look at that kick once more, just a nice little grubber kick through. And Van der Merwe, he did have to do a little bit of work just to get that second nudge on it to put it over the try line. That's where the mistake can be made, on the run at full speed, trying to get that little second kick onto it and put it into the corner, but he did it well. And I must correct myself, that kick from Owen Farrell did actually drift wide in the end. The score stays at 19 points to 0. That was Farrell's first miss of the tour so far, having made 9 in a row up until that. As we see Werner Koch preparing to come back onto the pitch with just under a minute of his sin bin left to play. The restart from the Sharks going straight out on the full though, so we're going to be restarting with a scrum on the halfway line, and hopefully a scrum that goes a lot smoother than the last few we've had.
Hopefully no. Obviously not what you want if you're a Sharks player, to see your kick-off go out on the full. You don't want to be starting with more mistakes. But hopefully we'll be able to keep this scrum up and get a solid platform here now.
Well, we've plenty of experience in there in the form of Maka Vunipola. He's played all 6 tests in his 2 previous Lions tours. This his 15th game as a British and Irish Lion in total across those tours. Came off the bench last Saturday. He has 1 try in those 15 games as well. And this time again Vunipola goes to ground, and it looked like his bind slipped. His left arm just hit the ground, and it's a Sharks penalty right on the halfway line. That one looked a little bit more clear-cut, Devin.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It obviously looked like that's just Mako couldn't take the pressure maybe, and again legs went out from under him and hit the deck. So again, we just got to keep the feet under him, keep the pressure on.
And we see the penalty count already, 8 penalties to 3, 8 conceded by the Lions inside this opening half an hour. And I think penalties were an issue for Maka Vunipola during the Six Nations as well. He conceded 9 penalties in just 222 minutes on the pitch, which is 1 every 24 minutes. I know in the scrum you're liable to be conceding a few more penalties than those around you, but it's a high number to be giving away, and he's given away one right there.
It's all well and good in a game like this as well, but if it's a test match against the Springboks, I don't think you can get away with 8 penalties in the first 30 minutes.
Exactly, and he was a man that had his troubles in the World Cup final against the Springboks when he had to come onto the pitch, or when he was in instead of Joe Marler, as the Sharks get this ball off the line out and get it into midfield, and Bundyaki does well to make a tackle and slows them down in possession and makes a nuisance of himself. Hendricks going back towards the left, ball in the centre of the pitch, strong tackle from Luke Cowan-Dickey, chopping them down at the ankles, and Adam Beard flying into that ruck as they go back towards the left, just inside the 22. Hendricks going left again, Navidi shooting up in defence, as does Sam Simmons, and they cut them down at the ankles. Tembelani Bowe this time with the carry, still just knocking around on the 22, probing and looking for a small gap, and it's Van Heerden, and he gets knocked back another couple of yards by a combination of Simmons and Makavunapola, and they switch the ball back into the left, and it's Marius Lowe who knocks on, and Marius Lowe, that's his second or third knock on in the game so far, and Ali Price manages to hack that ball downfield, and it's absolutely flying. It's bounced beautifully into touch inside the 22. Lovely clearance kick from Ali Price, but good defensive work from the Lions there. The Sharks were going through a number of phases and weren't really getting too many places. We saw a couple of very, very good tackles in there as well, just stopping them at source, and they did struggle to find any gaps.
There was 3 really good chop tackles there from obviously the extra pair of Luke Cowan-Dickey and Sam Simmons there, so it's 3 really good chop tackles, and then obviously a phenomenal clearance kick by Ali Price.
They always look better as well, those kicks, when they're at altitude. They can fly those extra few metres, you know. Sharks line out 15 metres out from their own try line on this near side of the pitch, as Mbatha puts it in, and he gets it into the hands of Rainiel Hugo, and it's a carry now from Bowe, who's tackled by Josh Navidi. Ball in the centre of the pitch, just inside the Sharks 22, as Hendricks puts it back to Bosch, and Bosch clears it right-footed down towards this near touchline, and the ball is out of play. In between the 10-metre line and the halfway line inside the Sharks half of the pitch, it's going to be a Lions line out to restart this game. 32.5 minutes played, and it's the British and Irish Lions who lead by 19 points to 0 against the Cell C Sharks in their 3rd game of this tour. Line out towards Ian Henderson at the tail, and he pops it off to Ali Price, and Price gives it to Owen Farrell, and a lovely line from Sam Simmons works his way up towards the 22. Pick and go, and popped off towards Duan van der Merwe. 2 tries so far today. He's tackled by Werner Koch. A little bit isolated, but managed to get the ball out, and Ali Price comes back towards the left to Josh Navidi, who looked like he knocked it on, but we are playing on. I think Jacob Pepar may have missed it. Adam Beard giving it to Luke Cowan-Dickey, who gets it out to Tom Curry on this near touchline, and Tom Curry, beautiful little pop inside to Cowan-Dickey into Ali Price, and Ali Price pops it up, tries to get it to Adam Beard, and the ball just goes to ground, and the Sharks have turned it over on their own try line, and they're breaking away with it out towards the 22. Ian Henderson makes a tackle with the assistance of Josh Navidi. Out to Koch now, who drives a right-footed kick and just wants to get rid of this thing and send it out down the pitch. Van der Merwe takes it though inside his own half and gives it to Josh Adams, who skips a pass out to Lewis Rees-Zammit, and it was just about forward. I think Josh Adams isn't too happy. It had landed perfectly into the hands of Lewis Rees-Zammit, who looked like he was away, but we are going to come back for this forward pass from Josh Adams as we look at the replay here, as he just stepped out, and it probably was just about hands going forward off the ball coming out of those hands forward.
Again, another frantic phase of play. I think there were a lot of lads will be searching for another set of lungs after that one.
And particularly from the forwards as well on this near touchline, we saw Luke Cowan-Dickey giving it to Tom Curry, popping up for the ball inside, then back inside to Ali Price, and it looked like maybe Adam Beard was there and waiting for the ball, but as Ali Price just tried to offload it, in the end he was tackled and brought to ground, and it just fell too short for Adam Beard to get his hands on it. But you can see the attacking intent that the Lions have. They're willing to throw the ball around a little bit and willing to take a risk with a couple of offloads here and there.
Absolutely, it's just keeping that ball alive, and as you can just see from that phase of play that they were working on that, and they were obviously being allowed to do it, so it's really good to see.
Well, finally a scrum comes to completion, and Kerwin Bosch nips a nice little kick down towards this near corner, but Lewis Rees-Zammit does well to keep the ball in play, and in the end he sends a right-footed kick down, and it gets a lovely bounce and goes into the Sharks 22, and Bosch comes back and collects himself and spreads it out towards his full-back Manny Liebach to Thacker Abrahams. who has Bundyaki coming across in defence and steps in beautifully and moves back in field, and he's got his way up towards the Lions 22, where he's tackled by Duan van der Merwe. The Lions trying to slow up play, but the Sharks get it away, and it's Marius Lowe, and Marius Lowe once again, sloppy play from him in the centre, and he's caused a knock-on trying to pop it inside to his captain Pepsi Buthelezi, and Buthelezi with the knock-on, and it's going to be the Lions ball on the 22.
Yeah, he just couldn't keep hold of that in the last one. I think there was a bit of a disconnect in D there, obviously with that cut back inside, which you need to keep connected. And then obviously just couldn't keep hold of that last ball.
Well, they're a side who do play a good brand of attacking rugby, the Sharks, and I think they're a side we're looking forward to seeing a lot more of when they make their debut in the United Rugby Championship next season. They have a huge amount of Springbok players away at the moment. The likes of Thomas Dutoit, who some people will remember from his time with Munster, Oxen Che, Sia Khaleesi, Saneli Nohamba, Lucanio Am, Afalele Fassi, who scored on his box debut last week, Makazole Mapimbi, Spoon Kusi, and Yop Pengsa. So there are a lot of players that they are missing at the moment, and they're putting up a pretty good fight so far against the Lions, it has to be said, Devin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're showing a lot of attacking rugby. They just need to be able to hold on to that ball and not give away them soft turnovers, I think.
Well, 5 minutes to go until the half-time break here at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, and it's 19 points to 0 in favour of the British and Irish Lions. As we see, it looks like it might just be Steve Tandy up in the coach's box this evening, watching on as we just prepare for Marius Lowe of the Sharks to get back on his feet, looking a little bit winded after he shipped a big tackle as he tried to offload that ball to Pepsi Buthelezi. And he's catching his breath. Never a nice one when you get winded in a tackle, Devin, is it?
I wouldn't know. No, obviously I do. Yeah, I got a lot of chest shots.
It's a helpless feeling.
Yeah,
a very helpless feeling, because there's nothing air. You can do about it.
No.
And you know it's going to be over soon as well. That's the worst part. But there's no escaping. You're going to look like a little fool for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a Lions scrum here, right on the 22. The last scrum we had was a little bit cleaner. The ball in and out. After what have been a scrappy start so far in these scrums, the Lions giving away a couple of penalties so far, which I know Robin McBride won't be too happy with.
Won't be too happy. Hopefully we get a nice secure scrum here. We need to get a solid platform and obviously get a good clearance in here now.
And Ali Price pops that inside. It just gets caught up in the second row, so Ian Henderson steps over. Penalty advantage coming here for the Lions, and that was much better this time round. The Sharks popping up, and that's a big boost for the Lions after what have been a scrappy performance so far in these scrums.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as long as everyone keeps their feet and keeps the force on and keeps the pressure, that's what can happen. And obviously it's a big psychological boost when you're when you get that penalty and you're trying to exit, and then you get an attacking line out on the far 40. So it's a really positive outcome.
And once again the Lions utilising the left boot of Elliot Daly, who sends this one right down into Sharks territory on the far side of the pitch, as we see a replay of that scrum, and the Sharks just splintering. Luke Cowan-Dickey preparing to throw into this line out 10 metres inside the Sharks half of the pitch. He finds Adam Beard and they pop it off to Price, and it's a lovely line up the middle from Sam Simmons, who skips his way up towards the 22 and steps off a couple of tackles before he's stopped well by Werner Koch right on the 22, near towards this near touchline. Xander Ferguson with a good carry in midfield, getting them an extra 3 or 4 metres, and Owen Farrell pops a kick down towards this corner, and it's one for Rhys Salmon to contest along with scrum half Jaden Hendrickse. And in the end the ball bounced towards the ground. It's gone into touch, and Jakob Pepar just consulting with Wayne Barnes to see what the final call is going to be. Looked like Lewis Rhys Salmon might have got a hand on that before it hit the ground.
Yeah, it kind of looked like it hit his chest there. Wondering, was that the best option to take, where if we could have just took the edge and kept recycling.
But it was a lovely carry that started it all off from Sam Simmons, coming right up the centre of the pitch and drifting out towards the near touchline, getting up to the 22. An unbelievable broken field runner.
Absolutely, yeah. It came obviously from a 5-man line out off the top. Really good quick ball, clean delivery, and then Simmons obviously makes that break up the middle. He's a phenomenal runner with the ball.
Sharks are going to have possession here as we prepare for the line out. just getting stalled for a few seconds. On Sam Simmons, he was someone that when ye played the Exeter Chiefs in the last, or in the quarterfinals of the Heineken Champions Cup this season, I'll come back to it because it's a Lions line out here in the end, just 10 metres out, and Luke Cowan-Dickey finds Ian Henderson, and they look to set up a maul, but they're not getting too much ground just yet. The ball safely at the back though in the hands of Luke Cowan-Dickey as Bundy Aki comes in to help out as well. And Cowan-Dickey breaks out towards the left and gets a good carry and works his way up towards about 3 short. And Bundy Aki charges through, and Bundy Aki is over for a try. And the Lions have their 4th right on the stroke of half-time here. Bundy Aki getting over for his first in a Lions shirt.
There was a great carry by Cowan-Dickey there. It looked like he was on his own. It looked like he was a bit isolated, but it was a great leg drive, and he was able to get that extra few inches, and then they were able to obviously recycle that ball, and Bundy did a nice pick and go.
It certainly was. Bundy Aki just finding the little gap where the defence didn't have time to reset after the excellent carry from Luke Cowan-Dickey. And it was Aki who picked and went from really just about 3 metres out, spotted the gap and gets in over the try line. That's his first in a Lions shirt. Aki, along with Josh Adams and Ian Henderson, having played in every game so far. He played 11 minutes off the bench the last day out against the Sigma Lions, started and played very, very well against Japan in the opening match, and he has his first try in a Lions shirt. The 31-year-old, 31 times capped Irish international. And Owen Farrell, with the last kick of this opening half, is going to look to make it 26-0. The clock is in the red at the moment. This kick from about 15 metres to the right of the post, just outside the 22. Farrell 2 out of 3 so far, and 9 out of 10 on the tour to date. This to convert the Lions' 4th try, as Farrell looks up at the post, and the silence of Ellis Park with nobody in attendance this evening. And Owen Farrell steps up and kicks it right-footed and sends it straight between the posts, and that's the sirens of half-time, and it's the Lions who lead the LC Sharks by 26 points to 0. Devin, your thoughts on that opening 40?
Yeah, I think you obviously take that scoreline if you were the Lions before the game. I think they're playing really well. I think their defence, obviously they've let no tries in, let no points in. I think the one thing that would be disappointed with is the discipline, with the amount of penalties they've given away, and obviously scrum time. I think obviously a few penalties given away that they shouldn't have, but I think the last 1 or 2 they've kind of gotten their head around it. But so far really, really positive from a lot of them.
Second half coming your way right after the break here at Emirates Airline Park. The Lions leading the Chelsea Sharks by 26 points to 0.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Hate missing out? News Talk Extra is news, entertainment and all the latest podcasts, plus expert tips and competitions straight to your inbox. Subscribe now at newstalk.com/extra.
Sean, what's that thing going round the garden?
That is our new Husqvarna Auto Mower.
Auto mower?
Yeah, it's a robotic lawnmower from Husqvarna. Cuts the grass automatically, has GPS tracking and an app. Even works in the rain. I just thought, why spend time cutting grass when I could spend it with the family?
Great! You can put the dinner on, so...
No can do, love. Have to paint the man cave.
Husqvarna Auto Mower. Never mow again. Learn more at husqvarna.ie.
Oh, Brady family deli ham, well, it is your only ham. Have it carved as thick or thin, what's your pleasure? Tell the butcher at the counter, Brady family's what you want to take home, cause it tastes like no other. Come out to other hams, come and face me ham to ham. Show them how you're made with mold and added water, and tell them how Brady family ham chased you away from the green and lonely fields of Kildare. Brady family ham, it's your only ham.
Dundeal has the largest range of premium cars in Ireland from all of Ireland's trusted car dealerships. That's why you will find Lahart's Volkswagen on Dundeal. Stop by Lahart's Volkswagen on Dundeal today and see their incredible offers on used cars and new 212 models. Dundeal, for premium deals to feel great about from all of Ireland's trusted car dealerships.
Can't wait to hit the Atlantic coast surfing on the massive
800 years of history at King John's Castle. Then you can buy those heels at that
lovely boutique we saw. They'll be perfect for
walking along the cliffs of Moher. Amazing views of
the dessert trolley. I'm going to order a big fat
Limerick sunset with a Michelin-starred picnic.
Great. And what are we going to do on day 2?
Can't decide between the city or the coast? Double your summer in Limerick and have both. Go to limerick.ie for some terrific offers and inspiration.
Right now, more than ever, it makes sense to get better deals on those business and household utility bills. We can help at wecansaveyourmoney.ie. From gas and electricity to mobile and broadband, even commercial merchant services. We will review your suppliers to get the best rate, and it's a completely free service to our clients. Much like an insurance broker, our fee is picked up by the supplier. Last year, we saved our customers over €9 million. All you have to do is send us a recent bill and we will do all of the work for you. Best of all, you keep 100% of the savings. Find out how at wecansaveyourmoney.ie or call 01 529 2211 to talk to one of our staff and start saving money today.
At Betfair, we know how it feels when you're in the moment, in the heat of the match, and you decide to hit cash out. Only to find cash out is suspended and you're frozen out of your bet. That's why when you bet fair this Euros, you can cash out when you want, with no suspensions on match odds. We won't freeze you out of your bet, because we're Betfair.
Applies to sportsbook match odds markets on Euro Elite Football. Excludes free bets, exchange bets, bet builder, odds on that and bet settlement window. T's and C's apply. 18+. See gamblingcare.ie. Please gamble responsibly.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Ali Price skips out to Owen Farrell, who finds the gap and puts it into Lewis Rees-Sammet's hands, and straight away it's Josh Adams who has it in under the post. Josh Adams cannot stop scoring at the moment. The Lions, 2.5 minutes into this game, are in for their opening try, and it's a 6th try in a Lions jersey for Josh Adams. And Cowan-Dickey breaks out towards the left and gets a good carry and works his way up towards about 3 short, and Bundyaki charges through, and Bundyaki is over for a try. And the Lions have their 4th right on the stroke of half-time here. Bundyaki getting over for his first in a Lions shirt.
Half-time, the Lions leading against the Sharks by 26 points to 0. Duhan van der Merwe back in his native South Africa with 2 tries for the Lions in that first half. Josh Adams scoring his 6th try in 3 games. Bundyaki getting his first try in the Lions red just before half-time. And Owen Farrell converting 3 of those tries to put the Lions ahead by 26 points to 0 at the break. Back over to Devin Toner and Neil Treacy in a moment. Just to bring you up to speed, ahead of the second Euro 2020 semi-final, the teams are in ahead of kick-off. The England team, Jordan Pickford will be in goal. They've gone with a back 4, it seems, of Walker, Stones, Maguire and Shaw. Phillips and Rice will be at the heart of their midfield. Saka, Mount and Sterling will be in support for Harry Kane, who starts up front. It's expected they'll play with a flat back 4 this time around. Denmark switching since Christian Eriksen's cardiac arrest against Finland in the first game to a 3-4-3. They've not switched that up. Schmeichel is in goal, the Leicester goalkeeper. You've got Chelsea's Christensen on the right side of their centre-backs with Vestergaard and Kjær. Sigurd Larsson will play alongside Højbjerg and Delaney in midfield, with Mela on the left, and then they've gone for a front 3 of Brathwaite, Dahlberg, who's been in good form, and Damsgaard, as Denmark look to become the team to knock England out of Euro 2020, having been the last side to win at Wembley in the Nations League last season. And unfortunately for Shamrock Rovers, defeat for them in their first round qualifier first leg away from home against the Slovakian double winners from last season, Slovan Bratislava, with Bratislava beating Shamrock Rovers by 2-0. Away goals don't count. They've been removed for the competition this year, but Shamrock Rovers have a huge task to overcome if they're to qualify in Tallaght next week. Time for us to have a look back at the first half from the Lions against the Sharks. We're rejoined by Neil Treacy and by Devin Toner. Devin, if I come to you first, Lions up 26-0. I mean, they made a flying start with those early tries from Duhan van der Merwe and Josh Adams inside the first 8 minutes, and then it kind of got a little bit sloppy for a period after that, between that and about 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy. I think mainly because of the discipline. I think they were giving away a lot of penalties, penalties at scrum time, which gave the Sharks an opportunity to get back into their half, and they were just kind of on exit mode there from their own half. But really good to get back into it in coming up to half time there and getting them next 2 tries, that Bundy try, and it was great to see. But yeah, just that sloppy period, obviously you don't like to see.
In the midst of that sloppy period, though, huge moment from Tom Curry, who is getting his chance to impress. We spoke about him pre-game, and we were all expecting after a big season he was going to play well. A huge turnover for him in the 15th minute, after what was probably the best spell of the game for the Sharks when they were laying siege to the Lions line for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as all good sevens are, it was on the line whether it was legal or not. But it was a great turnover on the Lions line, and it was great by him, and seeing him having a good game is brilliant.
Buniaki got his try, rewarded for that first half performance just a minute or so before the break. His overall display, though, was pretty all action, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think his defensive shift has been great so far. It was great seeing him get the try, and it was great to see it came from a maul, obviously, and he joined them all, and he's obviously has a license to go join them all whenever he sees them motoring. And obviously it was a great leg drive by Cowan Dickey leading up to the try, and Bundy obviously just did a quick pick and go, and it was great to see him get over the line.
We spoke about Owen Farrell quite a bit before kick-off and his best position, and having that licence to be creative this time around from the 10 channel. He tried a few things out there. You know, his chips forward led directly to 2 of the tries, and he hasn't been afraid to actually mix his game up a bit tonight.
No, I think he's having a great game. I think he's making a lot of good decisions as well. Obviously, it didn't help the Sharks having the winger getting sin-binned. But again, with his rugby brain, his rugby knowledge, he obviously knew that, and he was able to put some probing kicks in behind, and was just trying some crossfield kicks and stuff. So it was really good to see. But he's having a great game, and he's had some really good defensive shifts as well, with some obviously turnovers with them the maul tackles as well. So it's he's made some really good decisions.
And what would the expectation be, Devin, for this second half? They're limited in options, having just one back in Finn Russell on the bench to change things up. But would you expect the Lions to kick on and score a few more tries now in the second half, or what are you expecting?
Oh, you'd like to think so, yeah. I think you'd obviously see the front row getting replaced probably around 55, 60, maybe even on 50. And again, everyone's going to get a game. Just it depends on where. You never know. You might see Faletau coming in the centre, or you might even see Hamish Watson being tried out at 9. You never know. But it remains to be seen. I don't think I've ever seen a 7-1 split on the bench before.
Well, look, the 2021 British and Irish Lions tour here on OTB Sports, brought to you by Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions. We'll take a short break. We'll be back in time for the second half.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
Hey, it's me, your hunch. You know how much your heart races watching your team. Thanks to Betway, you can keep on the pulse of the beautiful game when you heed your hunch. Whether we're backing the underdogs against the big dogs, predicting that there'll be a last-minute winner against the run of play, or even feeling that there'll be goals galore instead of a bore draw. At Betway, you can back them all.
Heed your hunch on the Euros at Betway. Visit the website or download the Betway app. 18 plus terms and conditions applied on louis.net. Bet the responsible way.
Our grandfather founded Stafford's Funeral Homes in 1953. Generations later, the people we've met and the lives we've helped to celebrate continue to be our inspiration. That's why Stafford's now have some of the most comfortable facilities in Ireland and provide more choice and control for families. Inspired by our grandfather, Tom Stafford, we are proud to serve our community with the highest standards of funeral care. Stafford's. Trust our family to take care of yours.
What do you look for in a staycation? Is it long, sandy beaches and rugged coastlines? Is it ancient castles and majestic gardens? Or is it picturesque towns and villages? Fingal has all this and more. Right on Dublin's doorstep, but with the breathing room of the countryside. Explore a world of adventure during the day, and in the evening unwind at one of our top-class hotels, bars or restaurants. Plan your trip now at fingal.ie/visitor.
Here at Eurocycleseurobaby.com, we hope you and your family are keeping safe. We wanted to let you know we are back and fully stocked. No annoying jingles this time, just plenty of bikes. Open 7 days a week, our stores on the Long Mile Road and Airside Swords have everything you need, from commuter bikes to electric bikes, kids bikes and more. We're also fully stocked for all things baby. Check out the range and shop online at Eurocycleseurobaby.com.
Your phone rings. Who could it be?
It's just Gary.
Only it's not just Gary, is it?
Huh?
It's your bestie, and he's ready to collect you for the road trip of a lifetime. 7 days camping out under the stars, toasting s'mores by a roaring fire, kumbayaing to your heart's content, with every animal in the forest singing along in perfect harmony.
Gary?
Freedom is calling.
Get your guitar.
Virgin Mobile. Bring on amazing.
T's and C's apply. See virginmobile.ie. Volkswagen's 0% PCP finance offer makes it even easier to enjoy that 100% confident feeling you get from driving a new Volkswagen. That's 0% on the Polo, the Golf, the new Tiguan, and even the all-electric ID3, plus many more. For a 0% PCP finance offer that gives you 100% confidence, search Volkswagen 212. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Volkswagen.ie for further information.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
The second Euro 2020 semi-final between England and Denmark is just getting underway at Wembley. On the Football Show, we'll be joined by Louise Quinn and Johnny Ward to talk about that, and also the pulsating semi-final, which went to penalties, which saw Italy progress against Spain last night. Duan van der Merwe with 2 tries in the first half. Josh Adams with his 6th of the tour, and Bundy Aki's first try for the Lions has them leading by 26 points to 0 against the Sharks. Let's go back over now for second half commentary and rejoin Devin Toner and Neil Treacy.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Still a couple of minutes left to go before we get underway in the second half. The Sharks players and a few of the Lions substitutes out warming up on the pitch at the moment as the British and Irish Lions make their way back out onto the pitch for the start of this second half. A reminder of their starting 15 before we tell you if there are any substitutions to be made. Makavuna Pola, loosehead prop, alongside Luke Cowan-Dickey and Xander Fagerson, with Ian Henderson and Adam Beard in the second rows. Josh Navidi, Sam Simmons and Tom Curry across the back line with across the back row, with the makeshift tonight of Ali Price and Owen Farrell, who came in last minute in place of Gareth Davies and Dan Bigger in the half-backs. Bundy Aki and Elliot Daly in the centres, as they were in the team sheet named earlier on this week. Lewis Rees-Sammet on the right wing, Duan van der Merwe on the left wing, and Josh Adams then at full back. Both teams back out on the pitch right now as we prepare to get underway in the second half. As we see Josh Adams still out there preparing for another full game of rugby, having done so against both Japan and against the Sigma Lions on Saturday. He's now up to 6 tries so far after another one this evening, 4 on Saturday evening against the Lions at this ground, and then his opening try of the tour against Japan at Murrayfield just over 10 days ago. Owen Farrell has the ball in his hands in the halfway line and is ready to get us back underway as the Lions play from left to right in this second half, leading by 26 points to 0. And Devin, is it a case for the Lions with so much change in the lead up to this game? Will they be looking to just manage this win and get out without any disasters or injuries, or do you see them actually looking to kick on altogether and try put up a bit of a score?
Oh, I think everyone's going to be trying to put up a score, to be honest. Again, no one wants to see any injuries. That's the kind of last thing anyone wants to see, obviously, with everyone with the chopping and changing that was happening. But I think everyone wants to see tries, and I think they want to see tries as well. So I think they're going to try and kick on. I think we've got a really strong forwards to come off the bench. So hopefully they'll be able to make an impact.
And I will keep you up to date on events at Wembley, where England and Denmark are just underway in the Euro 2020 semi-finals. We're back underway here at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, and the ball just knocked on from one of the Lions players there contesting Owen Farrell's kickoff. It was Elliot Daly who went up for the ball but just couldn't get his hands on it, and we're going to restart 15 seconds into this second half with a scrum to the Sharks. Elliot Daly, Devin, is a player who came off the bench last week on Saturday, played very, very well, and he's had a pretty good game so far as well today. Has been playing in the centre for Saracens towards the tail end of this season, a position where he probably started off his career, but we all became more accustomed to seeing him in recent years at full back and on the wing. But he's a player that, from what we've seen of him over the last week or so, certainly looks a viable option in the centre.
Absolutely. I think he's just so versatile as a player that he can play anywhere, which is brilliant. But it probably could work against him as well. So it could be a good bench spot. But you never like to see it. But he is putting his hand up definitely for selection. Yeah.
And he just makes a tackle there right in front of us on this near touchline. But an advantage was being played to the Sharks off the back of that scrum. Another penalty conceded. That's the third scrum penalty conceded by the Lions so far in this game. Collapsing is what they've been penalised for, and the Sharks are going to have a penalty about 30 metres out from their own try line. And Devin, it's been a worry, the scrum so far in this game, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think obviously most of the penalties have been coming from that scrum. I wouldn't be surprised to see the sub front row come around 50-55 minutes to hopefully shore it up, I think.
How does Robin McBride deal with a poor scrum performance? Does he tear the wallpaper off the walls, or is he a calm man?
No, he's quite calm. He obviously looks to what happened, how can we fix it. So he obviously talks to front row separately as well, but it's something that obviously have to look at.
Well, Makavunapolo has just made up for any part he had in the penalty of that scrum, because he's turned the ball over for the Lions off this line out. It was a poor communication from the Sharks players. None of them really jumped up for the ball as it was thrown in, and it fell nicely into the hands of Makavunapolo as the Lions cleared possession down towards the 22, and the Sharks send a kick back up towards the halfway line, which Ali Price takes, but he's tackled excellently, and the Lions just about get the ball back into Owen Farrell's hands, and he sends one deep towards this near corner, bouncing into the 22. It's going to fall short of the try line, and Lewis Rees-Zammit is chasing Manny Liebach, and Liebach does well to get away and find a bit of space and puts it out to his right winger, Werner Koch, who hands off Bundyaki and does really, really well, and throws another handoff onto Josh Navidi, who just about brings him to ground in the end, just outside the 22, 20 metres in from the far touchline, as the Sharks get it back to Kerwin Bosch, who plays a lovely little chip over the top for Marius Lowe to chase, but Lowe was ahead of the kicker, I think, or maybe took Owen Farrell out off the ball, and it's going to be a penalty for the Lions straight in front of the post, right on the 22.
Yeah, quite frantic exit there from the Sharks. I think they just got to get the ball out of their half. I think they're trying to run it a bit too much there.
And Owen Farrell putting this kick down towards the near touchline as we see the penalty once again, and it was Marius Lowe. Yeah, just took Owen Farrell out off the ball as they were waiting for that ball to drop. Lowe is someone who's had a tricky game so far. He had a few poor knock-ons in the opening half, and he's just given away what could be a costly penalty here. He's rejoined the club in recent years after filling the void left by Andre Esterhazen, who moved to Harlequins last season and has gone on to win a Premiership medal.
There's a couple of backs in this maul.
Josh Navidi's popped it out, and Makavunapolo tried to find Ali Price, and the Lions didn't quite execute it perfectly, but they've recovered the ball here 15 metres out from the Sharks try line as Josh Navidi stands in at scrum half and sends a pass out left to Cowan Dickey, and Navidi once again has it and gives it to Henderson this time, but he's met by a good Sharks defensive line and is tackled just inside the 22 as they once again continue to move it out towards the left. Price finds Cowan Dickey for another short carry, and they look to go left again. Price passing it out to Owen Farrell, who gives one to Elliot Daly, and he's swallowed up by a combination of Werner Koch and Manny Liebach. Price to Makavunapolo, lovely hands to give it to Owen Farrell and Xander Fagerson, but there was crossing in the build-up there, and it's going to be a Sharks penalty. To go back to the line-out, as you were saying there, Devin, that a few back members in there, they were trying something new, didn't quite get the execution right though.
Yeah, so it looked like a 6+1, but they had Louis Rees-Zammit and Ali Price in the front of the line-out, so obviously if you're defending that, your senses started tingling, and you obviously know it's not going to be a normal line-out, so they tried to pick, and they did a dummy maul, and they picked up and they tried to go back inside, but the ball just didn't go to hand. So it was a really good endeavour, but obviously got to nail it down next time. But
it's something teams have been trying a lot more, I find, in the last year or so, putting the odd couple of backs into lineouts. I think Munster in particular were doing it quite a bit during the Rainbow Cup. It was pretty common to see guys like Mike Haley standing in there, Conor Murray as well. I know Damien De Allende slotted into a couple of lineouts, so it seems to be something that teams are conscious of, just trying to mix things up at lineout time.
Well, Munster actually throw them up as well. They lift them in the lineout as well. We haven't really tried that yet.
Who would be the standout contender?
Robbie Henshaw probably.
Oh yeah, that's
absolutely.
He'd probably hold his own anyway.
Gary Ringrose.
You could throw him in as a number 7, I think, and Robbie Henshaw do a decent job.
No, but it's getting much harder to score off mauls than it used to be. So teams are obviously trying loads of different stuff these days, and you're obviously seeing less and less mauls, I suppose.
Yeah, and certainly in the last game against the Sigma Lions on Saturday, I know the British and Irish Lions, they threw beyond the tail to a runner coming onto the ball probably 6 or 7 times during the game. Play back underway here now though, after the Sharks make a number of front row replacements. One of those on Vian Herbst ex of Ulster, at tight head prop as the Lions, or as the Sharks, hold on to possession here. Bundyaki getting in over it though, and it looks like he's made a turnover, and Bundyaki has won the ball back for the Lions as Cowan-Dickey stands in at scrum half and gives it to Owen Farrell, who looks to pass but decides against it and sends a kick down towards this near touchline just outside the 22 for the fullback Manny Liebach to take. Passes it to his right to Werner Koch, who charges right up the middle. A huge ball carrier as we've seen in this game so far, and he's tackled by Adam Beard. The Sharks 10 metres inside their own half, coming back towards the centre of the pitch, and it's Tembelani Bolly who's tackled well and knocked back by Josh Navidi, and Kerwin Bosch now sending a kick down towards this far touchline, but Duan van der Merwe catches it easily and gives it to Owen Farrell, who once again looks to kick and drives it just straight down the pitch, but it bounces kindly into the hands of Manny Liebach, and Liebach drifting back in field. He's not going to kick it, he's going to counter attack, and he's stopped well by an ankle tap from Tom Curry. Josh Navidi got in over the ball, and it looks like Josh Navidi has disrupted it enough. It's a penalty for the Lions right on the halfway line, and the Sharks penalised for holding on to it a little bit too long. Manny Liebach tried to have a little counter attack and a cut against the Lions defence. It didn't work out there. Penalised for not releasing. Good pressure from the Lions in defence there.
Really good defence from the back row particularly. It obviously ended up with that tap tackle from Curry, but leading up to it there was a really good chop tackle from Simmons and then another double tackle from Navidi and Curry. So really good build up by the back row there.
Back row is an area where you could realistically pick any three players, and you're going to have a top quality selection in that threes. We see it once again. The lovely little ankle tap from Curry, and it was Luke Cowan-Dickey and Josh Navidi who got in to help it out. But on that back row, even someone we haven't spoken about today who is on the bench tonight, Jack Conan, who had an excellent start to his campaign in that game against Japan.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously on the bench you've got Jack Conan, you've got Falatau, and you've got Hamish Watson, so hopefully they'll be coming in and making an impact there. But,
and Tom Curry, just as we praised him, he's after knocking on a simple enough pass there 10 metres out from the Sharks try line. They'd worked a lovely little bit of possession off the line out as a result of that penalty and moved it back in field, but Curry just took his eyes off the ball at the last second, and Kerwin Bosch just goes to kick and clear the lines, but that's blocked down. Very scrappy at the moment. James Fenter, the latest to get his hands onto the ball and try bring it up to around 10 metres out from his own try line and slow things down. Looks like the Lions might have just drifted out offside. Penalty advantage being played for the Sharks as they kick downfield, or it might have been a knock-on advantage, because that advantage looks to be over as the Lions have possession. It looks like Josh Adams is going to have a counter attack 10 metres inside the Sharks half now as he's brought to the ground. 15 in from the far touch line. Ali Price goes right out towards that wing to Sam Simmons. He has Van der Merwe just outside him, but he decides to go himself and he's tackled. Price looking back towards the right now as Werner Koch tries to go in and counter ruck, causing a lot of trouble. And Maka Vunipola popping inside to Luke Cowan-Dickey, who pops it back up to Vunipola. Owen Farrell delays the pass, but it's picked off by a Sharks player, and they're now going to look to counter-attack. That pass looked forward as Kerwin Bosch is set away. Lewis Rees-Zammit gets his hands in and has managed to turn over the ball just inside the Lions 22. This game going from end to end now, as Owen Farrell just holds things down and uses his experience to slow possession. The Sharks trying to counter-ruck and disrupt them. Xander Fagerson with a short little carry. The Lions just trying to kill the pace and the frantic nature of these last couple of minutes. 49 minutes played at Ellis Park, and it's the British and Irish Lions who lead the Sharks by 26 points to nil. No scores yet in the second half. All four Lions tries coming in the opening half of the game. One for Josh Adams, bringing his tally on tour to 6. Duan van der Merwe has 2. He's now up to 3 for the tour, and Bundyaki crossed for his first try in a Lions shirt. Owen Farrell converting 3 of the 4, the Lions leading 26 points to nil. Sharks in possession here, 10 metres inside the Lions half of the pitch as they give it to Jeremy Ward, who brings Werner Koch into play, and Koch out to Manny Liebach. Liebach gives it to Ward again, and this is beautiful play from the Sharks, and they're finally going to get in for the try, and it's their a blindside flanker, James Fenter, who's going to run in under the posts after a couple of beautiful offloads in the build-up from Jeremy Ward and Manny Liebach. And James Fenter has the Sharks opening try of this game, and it's down to 26 points to 5.
Yeah, some really good attacking rugby there and keeping the ball alive. Probably be a bit disappointed with the defence and how disconnected they are there. But all credit to the Sharks. It was really good attacking rugby.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it was started out by Werner Koch. The strength in the carry from him, just managing to hold off Van der Merwe. And then it was a combination of Liebach, Ward, and then into the hands of James Fenter.
He's been having a great game, Werner Koch. Obviously, apart from the yellow card in the first half, he's been carrying hard, and he's been putting it up to them.
He certainly has. As I mentioned, he's a bronze medal winner in the Olympic Games with South Africa at sevens level. Has played more than 250 times for them, more than 50 World Series competitions. And as Kerwin Bosch slots over the conversion to bring it back to 26 points to 7. The Sharks get their reward, I think, Devin, for some good attacking rugby at times during this game.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. They're obviously trying to keep the ball alive, and like some of the stuff they're doing is risky, that's not coming off. Some of the offloads didn't go to hand in the first half, but yeah, no, obviously great try from them.
51 minutes played and the first Lions changes are being made. I see Tyke Furlong is onto the pitch in place of Xander Fagerson. Rory Sutherland is also visible out there as well. Tyke Furlong, who picked up pretty much where he left off, Devin, despite almost a year out of rugby, and has been in absolutely dynamic form since returning at the tail end of January, February.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He trained like a dog throughout it, to be honest, and all credit to him. He came back in phenomenal shape, and he obviously, just as you said there, he picked up where he left off.
Owen Farrell has also departed the game as well. In his place is Finn Russell, the only back replacement on the pitch. I could envisage a situation, Devin, where with 10 or 15 minutes to go in this game, if the Lions are ahead by enough, they might just take off the likes of Josh Adams or someone like that and play with 14 men for the closing stages of this game.
Yeah, you never know if they're up by a fair amount. I wouldn't say they'd leave 14 on. I'd say they would bring Faletau on and put him in the centre, or I wouldn't say they'd be afraid to try something, I suppose.
It's every back row's dream to be given the nod, isn't it?
Yeah,
and just be told, come on, you can have 10 minutes in the centre here this evening.
Yeah.
Well, Sharks in possession here, 5 metres in from their own touchline, right on the halfway line, and it's Hendricks at the scrum half who offloads it to Mchunu, the loose head prop, who's just come onto the pitch. We spoke about him before the game. He is lightning quick when he gets a bit of open space. Scored a stunning 50-metre try in the warm-up games for the Rainbow Cup. He's just in his first year of professional level with the club. He's been called Beast 2.0 by the man himself, Tendime Tauria. And it's ball back now to Marius Lowe inside his own half, and that's a beautiful little show and go, and Lowe is just getting up and slips at the last second as Finn Russell dives in to make the tackle, and Hendricks to his fullback Liebach as Finn Russell makes a second tackle in probably about 10 seconds. Ball centre of the pitch, 35 metres out from the Lions try line. Sharks in possession going back towards the right, but now Kerwin Bosch changes the direction of play and gives it to Lowe, who just stalls and looks to the left and right before deciding to go himself in the end. Hendricks out to his number 8 Buthelezi, whose tackle still around 35 metres out, ball centre of the pitch, and Bosch skips inside. He's tackled by Adam Beard. Hendricks out to the try scorer James Fenter. Tom Curry with the tackle as the Sharks eke out an extra couple of yards, and it's Reniel Hugo with the latest carry. Tyke Furlong makes his first tackle since coming on a couple of moments ago as Ian Henderson gets involved off the ball with Mchuzu. Hendricks to the left to Bosch. Bosch will grub a kick down in towards the corner, but it looks like it's covered well by Josh Adams, who isn't able to let it go over the try line. The ball just popped up at the last second and he couldn't take the chance and let it run out, so it's gone all the way down towards the halfway line to Kerwin Bosch, who plays it back to Werner Koch, who plays a little chip through over the top, and it's sat up beautifully for Werner Koch, and he pops it up to Ruben Van Heerden. Van Heerden stopped just 10 metres out from the Lions try line as Ali Price tries to get in over the ball, and Ali Price does excellently to hold on to the ball, and he's won the Lions a penalty. He's turned over possession, and that's an excellent bit of scramble D from Ali Price, Devin.
Brilliant turnover by Ali Price there. Obviously, again, a very, very frantic defensive set there. A couple of really good hits going in, really good couple of chop tackles from Cowan Dickey and Simmons again, but really good scramble D by Ali Price there to get in over the ball.
I have to say, the longer this game goes on, I'm desperately looking forward to seeing more of Werner Koch in the United Rugby Championship next season.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely fantastic. I know he got sin-binned in the first half. It was probably a yellow card he realistically had to give away with the way the Lions were going through, but with the ball in hand he's been absolutely outstanding, and every single carry just seems to be going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Have you ever thought of giving sevens a go, Devin?
I played a tens tournament in Bristol about 16 years ago.
How did it go?
We won. It was Leinster A.
Any other big names playing?
Who else? Maybe Sean Carr would have been playing.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Cronin, I think. Oh, no, Sean Cronin wasn't. No, Fergus McFadden.
Sean Cronin could have played sevens easily.
No, he was in Munster then, I was trying to remember.
Sean Cronin is going to be joining us on commentary for a game soon enough as well. Oh, it's a beautiful chip over the top from Finn Russell. Elliot Daly gets it and gives it to Ken Owens, and Ken Owens tries to pop it off. Advantage being played to the Lions here. Just a knock-on advantage to Josh Adams doing Van der Merwe out in the far touchline as he works his way excellently, shrugging off 2 tackles to get to the 22. Ali Price inside to Finn Russell, back inside to Ken Owens again. Ken Owens looking to pass it out of the tackle, and a Sharks player gets in over and has won the ball back. And Josh Adams has managed to get his foot in there and hack this one through, and the ball is bobbling around, and Josh Adams is in. And Josh Adams, he scored some beautiful tries so far in this campaign for the Lions. This is his 7th. I have to say, this isn't one of the more beautiful ones he scored. It was scrappy as hell, but he worked like a dog to first of all just fly hack that ball out of the ruck, and then it bounced kindly for him, and in the end he just dived on it. It's a 7th try for Josh Adams on the tour, a 2nd of the night, and it's a 5th try so far this evening for the British and Irish Lions. They lead the Sharks by 31 points to 0.
It's probably the hardest he had to work for a try. All the rest of his tries, people set it up for him and working hard before him, but this is the one he's actually set up himself, which is great.
Well, it harks back to something that Keith Wood said on Monday Night Rugby, speaking to Joe Malloy and Niamh Briggs on Off the Ball, about the work rate of Josh Adams, that he is a spectacular finisher and he can do things that other players can't when he's given the ball in a bit of space, but he doesn't have work for the avenues he gets.
Yeah, I know, yeah. There's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that you just don't see, of all the hard work that obviously you see him in behind the line of getting on the end of all those breaks. But no, so far obviously he's been reaping the rewards.
Well, Finn Russell standing over this conversion, a chance for Finn Russell to pick up his first points as a British and Irish Lion. He played on Saturday, but Owen Farrell had the kicking duties. He got one game off the bench when he was part of the Geography 6 on the 2017 tour of New Zealand, but he wasn't kicking on that night either, and he slotted this one between the posts, and it's the Lions who extend their lead to 33 points to 0. With 58 minutes on the clock, and the Sharks restart us here, and it's Ian Henderson who tries to take, but the ball is knocked out of his hands, and Josh Navidi also knocks on the ball as we're going to restart. It fell. Play came in contact with the referee. Jakob Pepar decided to blow things up, and it's going to be a knock-on and a scrum as the Lions lead by 33 points to 7.
Right, our new front rows all around.
I think it was actually Adam Beard there who didn't really collect the restart there. It's got to be more probably dominant in the air. I think you got to get your lifters around you and try and get in the air when you're getting them restarts.
As soon as we got the
I think they've got away with it. It's going to be a Lions feed into this scrum. There was obviously a Sharks hand that got in there initially and knocked on the ball. So right on their own 22 here, it's going to be a chance for the Lions to get possession back up the pitch. And a first scrum for these new front rows after what had been a very messy opening half from those who started. It's looking a little bit more stable, and Tyg Furlong gets a good drive and the ball comes out. No advantage being played for either side, so we're away, and it's a kick over the top from Finn Russell that Duan van der Merwe nearly got into his hands. It just drifted out of his left hand at the last second and went out into touch. Van der Merwe, and you can see it in his face, he holds up his left hand just to show how close it was. There was only a matter of inches in that one.
They looked like a lot more dominant scrum that time with the new front row, and I think if the ball had been kept in, it probably would have been a penalty. But obviously the ball got taken out, so it wasn't. But really good dominant display there from Tyg, I think.
Yeah, he's been excellent in that scrum, and was excellent against Japan, and we can see Adam Beard there now as the Sharks get play back underway, trying to set up a maul, just reaching over with those long limbs and pulling in players, nearly gets his hands on the ball, but the Sharks get it away, and it's Marius Lowe now at inside centre, crashing up, bringing possession just inside the Lions half of the pitch, as Rory Sutherland looks to do a little bit of counter-rucking, as does Ian Henderson, and make things just slow and sloppy for the Sharks, who are just about trying to hold on to the ball. Rory Sutherland going back in for seconds now as well. This ruck is a complete mess, and the Sharks are struggling to get a hold of it.
Gives the Lions so much time to get set there.
Jaden Hendrickson digging around, and as you said, the defence getting a huge opportunity to set. Sam Simmons makes a good tackle, but it's a nice grubber kick through from Kerwin Bosch. Elliot Daly does well to just get in the way of the players, and the ball is popped out towards Lewis Rees-Zammit, who's just gliding down this near touchline, and everything's opening up for Lewis Rees-Zammit. He's going to get in for his second try in as many games, and Lewis Rees-Zammit extends the Lions lead to 38 points to 7.
Brilliant work by Josh Adams again. They're actually with 2 tacklers on him, getting the ball free and being able to keep the ball alive. Really good work from Josh Adams there.
And it all started with, as you were saying, the brilliant work in the ruck maybe a phase or two earlier, where you had Rory Sutherland, you had Ian Henderson, and you had one other player as well. His name has just escaped me at the last second, but constantly just trying to slow down the Sharks' ball and counter-rucking. They weren't turning the ball over, but as you said, they were giving their defence a huge opportunity to get reset, and it led to Sam Simmons making a big hit in defence, winning that collision, and all of a sudden the Sharks were on the back foot.
Yeah, it just it takes away all the Sharks' options. I think that ruck, it looked about 10 seconds, 15 seconds long, which is unheard of, which gives the Lions a really good opportunity to set their defensive line. So the Sharks didn't have any option but to put the ball in behind, which gives Josh Adams a chance to collect, and then he did a phenomenal job getting the ball away to Rees-Zammit. So a really good defensive set there by the Lions.
And Lewis Rees-Zammit in the unfamiliar jersey for him of 10 this evening, as we mentioned. He was a late insert into the team in place of Anthony Watson, while Dan Bigger, Gareth Davies and Liam Williams also had to withdraw before the game. But Lewis Rees-Zammit has his first try of the evening, his second in a Lions shirt. Talupe Falatau is onto the pitch now. He's in place of Tom Curry. How did Tom Curry go this evening, Devin, in his Lions debut?
Yeah, I think he went really well. He had a really good couple of tip-on passes, really good a couple of turnovers. Probably he would have liked to get in the ball a bit more. I think he had a good few opportunities to run with the ball in hand, but he decided to pass it on. So quiet enough, I suppose, by his standards. But for obviously a Lions debut, it was brilliant.
And a number of changes on the Sharks side as well. We see JJ van der Mesht onto the pitch as the clock hits 62 minutes.
I think that I see Jack Conan on as well.
Jack Conan, who has just shot into contention really towards the tail end of the season, Devin, didn't he? I mean, he got his opportunity in the tail end of the Six Nations, got his try and was excellent when Ireland played England, and was a real bolter when it came to Lions selection. I know he has spoken about it, saying he was sitting in the car on the way to training, I think it was, when he was listening live on the radio and found out he was selected. How happy were all of ye to see that he was named in the squad?
Yeah, absolutely delighted to see Jack. I think he's had his hard time with injuries over the years, but every time he's been fit and able to play, he's been phenomenal. But again, he just had a few chances, obviously with injury. Do you know what I mean? But everyone in the whole club was delighted to see him selected.
And he put down a good marker in the opening game at Murrayfield against Japan as well. I think it's fair to say 18 carries. He was pretty live with the ball in hand and also in defence.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think obviously the game in particular was obviously the Ireland game against England in the Six Nations there, that he really put his hand up for selection and showed what he was worth. He's phenomenal with ball in hand. He'll always get you over the gain line, and he's really good in defence also.
For those interested in events at Euro 2020, 26 minutes played at Wembley in the semi-final between England and Denmark. Still scoreless at Wembley. England in attack at the moment, but nothing to report from that game. 26 minutes played, England 0, Denmark 0, winner to take on Italy in the final at the weekend. Back to events here at Ellis Park, and Ali Price preparing to feed into the scrum. 64 minutes played, and the Lions leading the Sharks by 40 points to 7. 6 tries for them this afternoon so far, as Finn Russell gives it back to Ali Price, and good defence from the Sharks, knocking Elliot Daly back. He drops the ball but manages to pick it up at the last second, but they've been driven back to just outside their own 22 now, and some sloppy possession and knock on from the Lions, and it's the Sharks who have. Bundyaki just trying to get out of the way as Hendrickson goes towards the left, and it's a little grubber kick down in towards touch, and it's going to be a Sharks line out around 6-7, or it's going to be a Lions line out 6-7 metres from the try line. Anthony Falmink trying to get onto the end of that kick, but there was just a little bit too much juice on it on the end of it.
Black, give us a gap.
But as we can see, the penalty count, Devin, has probably eased off a little bit. I know there were 8 at one stage in the first half, the Lions, just 2 since then. Although a loose line-out goes over the top there, and it's James Fenter, our earlier try scorer for the Sharks, has got the ball and has got up towards the try line. Hendricks, it goes towards the left and pops it off to one of his forwards.
He's got it, he's first man, he's got it.
And it looks like the Lions have turned it over right on their try line here. They have won it back. Ali Price just digging it out, trying to slow things down, giving them a chance to reset. Gives it out to Finn Russell, who clears it down the pitch and gets it right up into the Sharks half of the pitch and gets a lovely bounce in the end. It doesn't go out of play though. It lands up into the hands of Takir Abrahams, and Abrahams out towards his full back. Lewis Rees-Zammit gets in, and Finn Russell left-footed with another kick going straight down the pitch into the hands of Marius Lowe. Marius Lowe is stopped by Finn Russell, who came up and chased his own kick. Hendrickson back towards the left, ball on the halfway line, gives it to Dylan Richardson, and breaking now is JJ Van der Mescht. Van der Mescht is tackled and trying to roll out of the way. It looks like it's Ian Henderson, but the penalty is coming. Penalty to the Sharks. They have the advantage. They're 15 metres in from the near touchline on the halfway line. Boothalazy with the handoff onto Jack Conan right on the halfway line here, getting up towards the 10-metre line, ball centre of the pitch, going back towards the right for the Sharks. Elliot Daly up high in defence and manages to stop Werner Cockwell, but we're going to come back for this penalty right around the halfway line. I think it was Ian Henderson pinged for just not being able to get out of there in time.
Yeah, they've obviously done better discipline-wise in giving away penalties in the second half, apart from obviously that one. But you often see it where, if you say you have 8 penalties go against you in the first half, the ref subconsciously knows it and eases off a little bit. But I think you obviously with that new front row as well, not giving away kind of the penalties in the scrum, it helps as well.
And Bosch is going to kick it, but we just about managed to curl at the last second. The angle we were looking at there, it looked like that ball was going to drift out over the end line, but it just pulled in towards the left at the last second, and it's going to be a good attacking opportunity for the Sharks here, around 5 or 6 metres out from the Lions try line on this near side of the pitch. Maro Itoje comes on now. Ian Henderson has gone off. I'll get your thoughts on Ian Henderson's night's work in a couple of moments, just after we play out this line out. But we went a little bit earlier. We're going to have to come back. It's going to be the Sharks to throw in again. Karen Van Vuren getting ready to throw this one in. 5-6 metres out from the Lions try line on this near side of the pitch. They go towards the middle of the line out, where it's taken by Ruben Van Heerden. And
Itoje straight in over the ball.
And it's the hooker again, Van Vuren. But they've lost a few yards here now. Tackled by Josh Navidi, working back in towards the centre of the pitch. JJ Van der Mescht. Ball centre of the pitch, going back out towards the right now. Dylan Richardson is tackled well as they bring play out towards the right side of the pitch, and Anthony Volmink. Penalty advantage being played for the Sharks. Lions offside in defence as they get their way to around 3-4 metres out from the try line now. Ball inside to JJ Van der Mescht, and he's tackled well by Navidi, and Adam Beard tries to get in over it. Ball is popped out, and a Lions player, Talupe Faletau, has dived in over it, but the penalty advantage was being played. Marius Lowe wants to go quick, and he takes it himself and drives towards the line, but he's tackled by 2 Lions players as they try to come back towards the left. Lions just trying to slow down possession. Ball just about in under the post as they hand it off, and the Sharks go back towards the left with a one-out runner. Another penalty advantage being played for the Sharks here. Could be a yellow card on the horizon for the Lions as well, as the Sharks get their best bit of attacking rugby did close to the line. I know they've scored a try already, but this is their most sustained piece of pressure, and it's another penalty for the Sharks, just 5 metres out directly under the post. And at scrum half is Anthony Falmink He passes it out, but it just went a little bit too quickly.
Take it properly.
And he's been told to wait and take it properly. They're not going to go with a towards the touch line, or they're not going to scrum it down. They're just going to tap and go. And it was Dylan Richardson who carried, and he's tackled well as they go back towards the left. Volmink to Pepsi Buthelezi. Buthelezi reaching for the line, but he's just going to be a little bit too short. Volmink now in at scrum half in place of Jaden Hendrickson in the last few minutes. Grant Williams passes it out towards his right. Ball still just directly under the post. The Sharks just going through phases. They've probably gone back a couple of meters, if anything, and that's a huge hit from Tyg Furlong and from Ken Owens as well. The two front row replacements knocking the Sharks back probably about 1.5 meters in that carry. Maro Itoje, the latest to tackle. The Sharks attack being slowed down a lot here now. Bosch, and they're deciding to use it, go wide. Bosch puts it out into Anthony Volmink's hands. Breaking out towards the left is Nchunu. Nchunu is just stopped, and the ball is out, and diving on it is one of the Lions defenders is Jack Conan, who's turned it over. And after a huge amount of pressure on their own line, the Lions have the ball cleared down the near touch line by Lewis Rees-Sammet, and he's chasing this one up with Talupe Falatau in support. And Anthony Volmink back on his own 22, and it looked a moment ago like he might have been scoring a try, but he's counter-attacking and he's breaking his way up towards the halfway line. Excellent counter-attack by the Sharks, but it's Bundyaki who gets in and gets his hands on it, and Josh Navidi has picked it up, and Josh Navidi now is going to run in under the post, and Josh Navidi has his first Lions try in his first Lions game. End-to-end stuff in the last minute or so there, Devin, but it's ended on 70 minutes with a Lions try.
Yeah, absolutely, end-to-end stuff, but I think it was a really good defensive effort by the Lions on their own line there for a good 2 or 3 minutes. You'd think with 10 minutes left and 33 points up that lads would kind of be taking care of themselves, but there was some really good hits going in by Tyg Furlong, Jack Conan, Ken Owens. A couple of lads putting their bodies on the line, and they obviously got the turnover from it. And then a couple of wayward kicks here and there, and Navidi going in for the try was really, really pleasing to see.
Yeah, and everything just opened up for him as he just picked it up off the back of that phase, and you could see there were a couple of Sharks players that had just fallen asleep, hadn't got back into position, and I think Navidi himself after about 10 metres was wondering where was all this space coming from, because he just ran straight in from the halfway line and probably even still had time to pull up before he got towards the try line. I think we are just checking this. Jakob Pepar and Wayne Barnes, as well as AJ Jacobs, who refereed our last game on Saturday, all standing in under the post, just double checking with the TMO to see was there any knock-ons in the build-up.
They're looking at Bundy here.
We're looking at initially Maro Itoje put his hands in, then Bundyaki came in, and that's when it fell into the hands of Josh Navidi, and you could see it was Reniel Hugo who just didn't have an opportunity to see Navidi go past him.
He's fine. He's at the back. Puts a hand on. There's no deliberate infringement. Just whether or not he enters the tackle. He enters the tackle there. Entry penalty. But it's a censor, isn't it? Yeah. So there's no best decision. It's not deliberate. But that player is entering the tackle, so it's offside penalty, entry penalty.
Well, as you can hear from Jakob Pepar, our referee speaking there, we are going to be coming back. That try is going to be chalked off. It was just inadvertent from Bundyaki. Maro Itoje had come in around the back after that Sharks player had been tackled on the halfway line, managed to just about rip it, and as Bundyaki was retreating, the ball just collided with his knee, and Bundyaki accidentally would have been in an offside position.
But then your number 12 entered in the side of the tackle there.
Ken Owens obviously taking over the captaincy duties now that Ian Henderson's off.
And I just have time to update you as well. There has been a goal at Wembley in the Euro 2020 semi-final between England and Denmark, and it is Denmark who lead. Dansgaard with a free kick. So it's 1-0 Denmark, 35 minutes played at Wembley Stadium. Denmark 1-0 in front against England. You've been watching much Euro 2020, Devin?
I haven't, unfortunately, no.
Sharks in possession here. They've kicked that penalty nice and deep, only around 10-11 metres from the Lions try line. So they're back where they were a couple of minutes ago, having deservedly got some sustained pressure close to the Lions line, and this time they go short on the line out, and it's taken by Karen Van Vuuren at the back, and they look to get a maul going, but it's gone to ground relatively quickly. Adam Beard is in there making a nuisance of himself, but Van Vuuren manages to pop it back outside to Dylan Richardson. as the Sharks hold possession 15 metres in from the near touchline, just on the 22. Boothalazy, the captain and number 8, is knocked back excellently by Bundyaki as Grant Williams goes towards the right, and it's another huge tackle from Hamish Watson, who's come onto the pitch in the last couple of minutes alongside Ken Owens, and Hamish Watson's turned that one over and he's given it to his fellow Scott Finn Russell, who's kicked left-footed down the pitch, and it's one that Duan van der Merwe is chasing. Werner Koch manages to pick it up though and passes it off outside the 22, and it's another counter-attack coming from the Sharks here as Anthony Falmink carries it around 30 metres out from his own try line, gives it to Boothalazy, his captain. Ball centre of the pitch, 10 metres inside the Sharks half of the pitch, and it's Grant Williams breaking towards the right now. Small little scrum half who's come on in the last 10 minutes or so. Reniel Hugo dropped the ball to the ground, but it's landed nicely into the hands of the winger Werner Koch, who's had an excellent game so far. He's tackled by Duan van der Merwe right on the halfway line, 5 metres in from the far touchline. Bosch, the out half, gives it to Boothalazy. Williams now at scrum half looking to send the play back towards the left, but Rory Sutherland with some good counter rucking, and Adam Beard comes in and picks it off, and it's out into the hands of Maro Itoje, and Elliot Daly just popping off a pass out to Duan van der Merwe, who's diving towards the try line, and Duan van der Merwe is going to get in. And for the second game in a row, we're going to have a Lions hat-trick. This time it's the Scot, Duan van der Merwe. The Lions have their 7th try of the game, and Duan van der Merwe has a hat-trick.
Really good flick on there from Elliot Daly, keeping the ball alive obviously from Itoje first off, but obviously all came from Rory Sutherland doing that counter ruck at the ruck there. Ball pops out, Beard pops it to Faletau, Itoje, and then obviously runs it in, but obviously there's a lot of fatigue setting in now from both sides, more so I'd say for the Sharks, but obviously Van der Merwe capitalising on that.
Yeah, you could see the relieved face on Duan van der Merwe after he'd sprinted 10 metres when he realised he probably was just going to be able to jog it in for the remaining 10 and get in under the post, and it's going to be Finn Russell to take this conversion. The Lions leading by 45 points to 7, and I can tell you at Wembley it looks like England have equalised, although we are just checking the goal to see is it going to stand. It looked like a ball in towards the right, and Bakary Saka, or Bukayo Saka, just squaring it, and it looks like it's gone in off a Danish defender. Saka squaring the ball in towards the centre of the goal. It's gone in off a Danish defender under pressure from Raheem Sterling. So England 1, Denmark 1, 39 minutes played, as Finn Russell stands over this conversion and sends it right-footed and sends it straight between the posts, and the Lions extend their lead with 74 minutes played here at Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. They now lead by 47 points to 7. As we look at the replay again, that beautiful tip on from Elliot Daly after the pass from Maro Itoje, just not even catching it, just slapping it out into the direction of Van der Merwe out in the left wing.
You just see he's such a skillful player in everything he does, really.
And that England goal has been confirmed. It will stand, says VAR. It's a Simon Kjær own goal. England 1, Denmark 1. Italy awaiting in the final. They've played 40 minutes at Wembley. We'll have more reaction coming up on the football show after 9 o'clock. Johnny Ward will be alongside Will O'Callaghan, as will Louise Quinn, as Rory Sutherland now breaks for the Lions, and they're looking to finish with a flourish. Sutherland back inside to Ali Price, his fellow Scottish international, but Price just fell out of reach for him, and he knocks the ball on Kerwin Bosch now, as this game is getting really loose in the final few minutes. Van der Mesht tackled once again by Jack Conan, who's made a couple of good impacts in the few minutes he's had on the pitch. Dylan Richardson, the latest to carry for the Sharks. They're 40 metres out from the Lions try line, back on the halfway line now after that pass. And Marius Lowe, who has been tireless all evening. The end product hasn't always been there, but he manages to make a good crash ball, and the Sharks continue 10 metres inside the Lions half of the pitch, about 5 or 6 in from this near touchline, as the scrum half Grant Williams looks to break towards the left. And it's going to be Werner Koch standing in at scrum half, tackled by Maro Itoje. Just under 4 minutes left to go here at Emirates Airline Park, as Ali Price and Tyke Furlong combine to make a tackle and stop the Sharks in their tracks. They go back towards the centre of the pitch, and Grant Williams breaks towards the right, but he's tackled as the Sharks edge their way up towards the 22, looking for their second try of the game. A second try which probably will be deserved, as Marius Lowe looks to make a big carry, but he's tackled brilliantly by Maro Itoje and knocked to the ground. Itoje has come flying out in the few minutes he's had so far. There is a Lions player down injured. It's Rory Sutherland holding his shoulder, and that might be a concern because Rory Sutherland was carrying a shoulder injury coming into this tour, as the Lions turn over the ball, and Elliot Daly passed it out to Duan van der Merwe, once again going for that little slap-on pass. This time it just didn't come off, and it was van der Merwe who unfortunately knocked on, so we're going to be restarting with the scrum. But just off camera there, Rory Sutherland was down injured. It was straight after he'd made a brilliant break-up pitch and almost played in Ali Price, but Price and Talupa Falatau just overran the supporting lines and knocked it on. But he's receiving treatment now. You'd be worried for him any time a player like this goes down.
Absolutely. It's the last thing you want to see in the 77th minute of a game. Anyone going down injured. Hopefully it's not too bad. I think hopefully it's just a stinger in the shoulder. But the defensive effort by some of the Lions now in the 77th minute is phenomenal, considering the fatigue and altitude and what have you. But I think there's some brilliant hits going in from Tyg Furlong, from Itoje, from a lot of energy coming from the bench. So it's great to see.
We're just being shown Duan van der Merwe's tries on our screen in front of us here. He's someone who probably was on the periphery when it came to test selection when the squad was named. He had an excellent strike rate with Scotland, 6 tries in 8 games. But I think Devin, he was someone that maybe looked to be a little bit down the pecking order when you were talking about Josh Adams, when you were talking about Anthony Watson, Lewis Rees-Zammit. He certainly played himself into contention, 4 tries in his 2 games.
He has indeed. That's what you want your wingers to do, isn't it? And there's just so much quality in the wingers and the back three in general now. So it looks like he's going off there. I wonder if they're just going down to 14 men or not. I'm not sure. But he's definitely put his hand up for selection for the test team anyway.
Rory Sutherland is fit to continue and play out these last couple of minutes. He's going to test out the shoulder on the scrum that we have just now. Ali Price getting ready to feed into it 35 metres out from the Lions try line. Ball right bang in the centre of the pitch. And a reminder that 2021 British and Irish Lions Tour on OTB Sports is brought to you with Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions. As the scrum goes in, and Tyg Furlong and Rory Sutherland and Ken Owens get a huge drive and absolutely splice through the Sharks pack, and they go break off with the ball to the right. They have the penalty advantage coming, and Lewis Rees-Zammit goes down the right wing. Already has a try to his name this afternoon and 2 in Lions shirt so far. Itoje now with a strong carry. Tackled by Vian Herbst, the ex-Ulsterman. Hamish Watson standing in at scrum half. Elliot Daly out to Adam Beard. Lovely hands out to Talupa Falatau. Falatau to skip pass to Josh Adams. And Josh Adams is going to go himself. And Josh Adams, he's got a hat-trick again.
Thought there was a hint of a forward pass there of Falatau, but I don't know, will they go back for it?
Oh, you couldn't go back and take that one away from him. You can't take another hat-trick away from Josh Adams. But it's the Lions who lead by 52 points to 7. Another try for them. That is try number 8 so far this evening, and a third for Josh Adams, who is now up to 8 tries in a Lions shirt. If this stands, with Talupa Falatau spinning the pass out to him. On-field decision was a try. And I think we are just double checking it. The clock is still running, so we haven't stopped this one to go to the TMO.
Phenomenal strike rate for him, especially obviously with 380 minutes under his belt as well.
Incredible to think he's played all the way through as well so far of all these games. Absolute Trojan work over the 3 matches. He was someone who Wales probably did miss in the opening games of the Six Nations when he was serving an in-house suspension. But the try is given as we hit towards 79 minutes, and Finn Russell, 3 kicks from 3 so far. He's looking to make it 4 out of 4 and make the final score 54-7 in favour of the Lions. As the half-time whistle has gone at Wembley Stadium, it's England 1, Denmark 1 in the Euro 2020 semi-final. Dansgaard's opener, followed up by a Kerr own goal to equalise for England, and Finn Russell strikes this one from the far touchline, strikes it beautifully, and it goes straight between the posts. And the British and Irish Lions push out even further now. They lead the Sharks with 30 seconds left to play by 54 points to 7.
Always good to get over that 50 mark in a game.
Something you're well used to doing. Leinster over the last couple of seasons, it seemed like every single week it was happening.
That's all the youngsters for you. It's all pushing on the play all the time.
Well, it's Kerwin Bosch who gets us underway for the final time this evening, and Talupa Falatau just knocks the ball back, and Jack Conan manages to hold on to possession before the ball goes into touch. You hear the siren in the background. That means the game is over, and the Lions, given the day they've had, don't want to stay out there any longer. They've racked up enough of a score, and Finn Russell just taps the ball out, and that's game over. And the Lions have won here by 54 points to 7, and they've made it 4 wins out of 4. or 3 wins out of 3, I should say. Apologies, to start the British and Irish Lions series. 2 wins out of 2 in South Africa to follow up that win against Japan. But an excellent night all round, and another excellent night for Josh Adams. His 3rd try of the night, his 2nd hat-trick in as many games. He's now on 8 tries for the tour so far. More thoughts from Devin Toner coming up after the break.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
At Pfizer Grange Castle, we're driven to deliver breakthroughs that change patients' lives. And with our facility now preparing for COVID-19 vaccine production, we're expanding our team of scientists, technicians, engineers and analysts with a range of diverse roles. This is a time like no other at Pfizer Grange Castle, and we're proud that our work changes lives globally. So if you're driven to help improve the lives of others, visit the Pfizer Ireland careers page on pfizer.ie today.
What's the best way to predict your future? At IT Sligo, we can help you create it. Take the next step forward and choose from over 150 part-time online courses. Be empowered to create, change and build your future. Work hard and thrive with a flexible learning experience designed to suit you. Expand your mind, your options and your career. Make your future happen with online learning at IT Sligo. Apply now at itsligo.ie/online learning.
Sean, what's that thing going round the garden?
That is our new Husqvarna Automower.
Automower?
Yeah, it's a robotic lawnmower from Husqvarna. Cuts the grass automatically, has GPS tracking and an app. Even works in the rain. I just thought, why spend time cutting grass when I could spend it with the family?
Great! You can put the dinner on, so...
No can do, love. Have to paint the man cave.
Husqvarna Automower. Never mow again. Learn more at husqvarna.ie.
Introducing the all-new Citroën C4. Available in petrol, diesel and 100% electric. The C4 crossover features our very best in comfort, safety and technology as standard. Experience suspension with progressive hydraulic cushions and advanced comfort seats. You can also take comfort in a 5-year warranty and flexible payment options too. The new Citroën C4. Put some comfort in your life. See citroen.ie.
Citroën. We've all heard about setting aside money for a rainy day, but what about doing the same for a sunny one? With 0% commission on foreign currency, the On Post Money currency card is your ticket to sorting your spending money for that next big trip away. It's powered by MasterCard and available in post offices nationwide. So visit your local post office or search On Post Money currency card for more. On Post Money, for your world. Terms and conditions apply. On Post Money currency card is issued by PPS EUSA pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPS EUSA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range of Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
Guaranteed Irish has been around for almost 50 years and has always been about doing the right thing. Today, business members work hard to support jobs, keep our communities alive and help the Irish economy recover. Guaranteed Irish supports 1,500 businesses, from Indigenous SMEs to locally based multinationals, across various sectors, employing over 100,000 people across Ireland. So, look out for the G and know you're playing your part in Ireland's recovery. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions.
You're very welcome back to Off the Ball here on News Talk. Half time in the Euro 2020 semi-final at Wembley. It is England 1, Denmark 1. Denmark really good for stages of that first half. Damsgaard with a stunning free kick to put them in front on the half hour. But 10 minutes later, it was an OG from Simon Kjær, the Denmark captain. Didn't have much of a choice really, given that Bukayo Saka got in behind. Sterling was over his shoulder. Kjær tried to get across to make a block and ended up bundling the ball into his own net. So one apiece at half time, but the Danes probably very happy with their first half performance. We'll be talking to Johnny Ward and Louise Quinn on the football show after 9 o'clock. In terms of the Lions, as you have just heard, winning against the Sharks in their third warm-up game by 54 points to 7. A hat-trick each for Duhan van der Merwe and Josh Adams. Bundy Aki getting his first try for the Lions, and Louis Rees-Zammit also getting his second Lions try just after half-time. A comprehensive enough victory. Devin Toner was on commentary for us with Neil Treacy. Devin, when the Lions management team look back on this, given such a day of disruption with the COVID cases too, will they be happy enough with the workout that they got tonight?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. Obviously, with the chopping and changing before the game, I think to be hugely delighted with the scoreline anyway, and with the amount of people who put up their hands for selection. I think a lot of lads put their hand up for them test spots, none more so than Ian Henderson. I thought he had a phenomenal game as captain and as the line-out leader there. So I think he had a phenomenal game.
Well, look, as a lock, you're well placed to give a rating. If this was the newspaper now in L'Keep, what would you be giving Ian Henderson out of 10 tonight?
I'd give him at least an 8.5.
Okay, well that's not too bad. Midweek captain and things moving along nicely. A couple of victories in the games that Ian Henderson has played in as well. I would imagine as well, Devin, the wingers will probably be the happiest in terms of the damage they've been doing. 8 tries now on the tour for Josh Adams. He wasn't due to start but came into play. Another hat-trick. Duhan van der Merwe getting a hat-trick too. Neither of them would have been guaranteed starters when the squad was picked, but they've done their chances no harm here.
No, absolutely. I think particularly seeing that Josh Adams, that was his third 80 minutes in a row as well. Like his work rate is phenomenal, and obviously the tries he gets were great, and he obviously did brilliantly well for Rees-Zammit's try as well of getting that ball free. And again, Van der Merwe as well, and another hat-trick was brilliant for him. So like as I said before, there's so many people putting their hands up for test selection now.
Well, look, we've Irish eyes on this in terms of Bundy Aki, because we were robbed of the chance of seeing the other Irish players who were ruled out as close contacts before the game. What's your rating on Bundy Aki? As I mentioned, coming back, his first try for the Lions, but he's getting plenty of opportunities to show what he can do in the midfield here.
No, absolutely. I think he had quite a solid game, and it was great seeing him get the try. I think it obviously came from a maul. And he had license to go in and hit them all, so he hit them all first off, and he did a quick pick and go after us to get the try, and it's something that he's built for anyway. But he had a really good solid defensive shift as well, I think. So probably a little bit quiet on the attacking front. I'd say I'm sure he'll say himself that he probably would have liked to get in the ball a bit more and get a bit more ball in hand. But I think his defensive skills really came to the fore today.
Well, cheers to Devin Toner. You'll hear more from Devin and Neil on the Off the Ball social channels in the next half hour. So our coverage of the British and Irish Lions here on OTB Sports is brought to you by Vodafone, lead partner of the British and Irish Lions. We're going to take a short break. The football show is up next after the news.
Listen live or listen back on the News Talk app. Powered by Go Loud.
First up, a Go Loud original from News Talk.
Get all the news you need to start your day with First Up, the podcast that brings you stories, analysis and interviews with the top newsmakers. First Up, available each weekday morning from 7 a.m. on Go Loud.
Subscribe to this podcast for free on the Go Loud app.
Nan and Grandad are smiling because the grandkids are visiting. The grandkids are smiling because Nan and Grandad live by the beach. Mum and Dad are smiling because they finally get a road trip in their new Ford. Across the country there are smiles behind masks because the open road calls again. To celebrate